Sego Siwatwego. Good morning, everyone who's joining us today for the council meeting. It's now Tuesday, October the 1st, 2023. We've had some problems getting connected to our online system. It's now 9:47 a.m. and I would thank the people who've been waiting for your patience. We have in front of you an agenda dated October the 1st, 2024. I'll read the agenda. The first order of business will be to adopt the agenda, then to approve the minutes of September the 16th, 2024. There'll be a discussion on business arising from the minutes. The Chief and Council's upcoming meetings outside the territory will be approved. We'll approve the council meetings scheduled for November and December 2024. The Native Land Management Training document will be discussed. There's a quote from Deloitte Administrative Monetary Distribution of the partial Culberson settlement will be discussed at council and for approval. There's a Ferry Lane contract award item on the agenda. There's a harvesting request from Logan DeMille. There are business registration renewals for Take Charge Ministries, Barry Miracle. Alcohol sales at Smoke Depot is on the agenda for approval. The KDSPP C2C project will be discussed. MBQ organizational structure addition of the enhanced support worker, the Head Start. And the KDSPP is the Kingston District Secondary Program, I take it. Is that correct, Angela? What the KDSPP, is that the Kingston District Secondary Program? What does KDSS? What is it?
The Ganawagi.
Oh, the Ganawagi, the Diabetes Project. Okay. JFK law invoice, MBQ audit 2023. The Corda application is on the agenda for approval. The First Nations Housing Professional Association event and tour. The Green Inclusive Community Build application for a shelter is on the agenda. The new recreation center is on the agenda. The new dock purchase is on the agenda. Are there any other items that have not been added on the agenda?
What was the deadline?
I think October 14th for the Green Inclusive Building, but it's in the briefing notes that are sent to council.
When was the deadline for us to put items on today's agenda?
Well, normally we're supposed to have.
It's usually 1 week before it.
So anything that you want on the agenda, make sure that you don't give it to the staff ahead of time so they can do the research and provide proper information so we can have a fully informed discussion at council. Motion to adopt the agenda. Do I have a mover? And a seconder? Anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? Seeing none. The motion is carried. The next item is the adoption of the minutes of September the 16th, 2024. A meeting of the Tyendinaga Mohawk Council was held on Monday, September the 16th, 2024 at 9:30 a.m. in the council chambers. Present, Chief R. Donald Miracle, Aaron Ferranti, Linda Lewin, Chris Miracle. Absent, Chris Brandt. Regrets, Chase O'Gorry Brandt due to work commitments. Curtis Brandt due to a medical appointment. Sherry Miracle was on vacation. Staff present were Angela Miracle, the Senior Director of Operations, Shelley Bowden, the Executive Administrative Assistant and Recording Secretary, to Council Charles Miracle, the Executive Assistant to the Chief. At 9:30 a.m., there was no quorum, so the meeting was delayed until 11 a.m. when Linda Lewin arrived. Councilor Linda Lewin arrived. Motion 1 was moved by Aaron Ferranti, seconded by Linda Lewin to call this meeting to order. Moved by Aaron Ferranti and seconded by Linda to adopt the agenda. Moved by Aaron Ferranti, seconded by Linda Lewin, that the Tyendinaga Mohawk Council minutes of September the 3rd be approved. Motion 4 was moved by Aaron Ferranti, seconded by Linda Lewin to approve the following meetings outside the territory. Chief will be attending the Chiefs of Ontario Off Reserve Housing Funding. That's the spelling mistake there. It's funding, F-U-N-D, engagement session on October the 1st in Toronto. And Chief Linda Lewin Aaron Curtis attending the Indigenous Services Canada lobby session on October 3rd in Toronto. Chief attending the Assembly of First Nations Climate Change Gathering October 7th to the 10th in Calgary. The motion is carried. Chief Miracle and Councillor Linda Lewin heard a presentation by Grocer Modular Food Solutions at the Aboriginal Labour Force Development Circle Annual General Assembly. Was moved by Chris Miracle and seconded by Linda Lewin to approve the staff investigate a food security strategy. The motion was carried. Motion 6 was moved by Linda Lewin and seconded by Aaron Ferranti to approve the request Grocer Modular Food Solutions provide a presentation to the council and arrange a meeting with Agricultural Canada. The motion was carried. Councillor Chris Miracle, conflict of interest, he may renew his contract with the LTC. Motion 7 was moved by Aaron Ferranti and seconded by Chris Miracle to approve appointing Councillor Linda Lewin to the Aboriginal Labour Force Development Circle Board. The motion was carried. Motion 8 was moved by Aaron Ferranti, seconded by Chris Miracle, that whereas the proposed hydro connection at 493 Norways Road was reviewed, be it resolved that the Tyendinaga Mohawk Council, representing the Mohawks of the Bay of Quinte First Nation, at a duly convened meeting of the council held on September the 16th, and having reviewed the sketch provided by Hydro One Networks Inc. attached hereto as Schedule A, in respect of the new modified connection at 493 Norways Road to the electricity distribution system, hereby approve the proposed location of the poles, anchors, conductors, and equipment as identified in sketch on Tyendinaga Mohawk territory, MCR 2024-25-057, and the motion was carried. Motion 9 was moved by Aaron Ferranti and seconded by Linda Lewin, that whereas the proposed hydro connection at 10009 Upper Slash Road was reviewed, therefore be it resolved that the Tyendinaga Mohawk Council, representing the Mohawks of the Bay of Quinte, the First Nation, at a duly convened meeting of council held on September the 16th, and having reviewed the sketch provided by Ontario Hydro One Networks Inc., attached hereto as Schedule A, in respect to the new or modified connection at 1009 Upper Slash Road to the electricity distribution system, hereby approve the proposed location of the poles, anchors, conductors, and equipment as identified in the sketch on the Tyendinaga Mohawk territory. Council Resolution 2024-25-058 was approved. You just need a slash there between 24 and 25. The motion was carried. Motion 10 was moved by Chris Miracle and seconded by Aaron Ferranti to approve the business registration for Darlene's Art, owner Darlene Loft. The motion was carried. Motion 11 was moved by Aaron Ferranti and seconded by Chris Miracle to approve the business registration for Kentucky Mechanical, owner Michelle Brandt. The motion was carried. Motion 12 was moved by Aaron Ferranti and seconded by Linda Lewin to approve the business registration for Meritech, owner was Chris Miracle. The motion was carried. Motion 13 was moved by Chris Miracle and seconded by Linda Lewin to approve the business registration renewal for Moonlight on the Bay, owner Jonathan and Linda Miracle. The motion was carried. Motion 14 was moved by Chris Miracle and seconded by Linda Lewin to approve the business registration renewal for Rebecca Miracle Mohawk Feathersmith, owner Rebecca Miracle. The motion was carried. Motion 15 was moved by Chris Miracle and seconded by Linda Lewin to approve to participate in the research on understanding palliative care experiences of Indigenous people in collaboration with Queen's University and Frontenac and Lennox and Addington Ontario Health Team. The motion was carried. Motion 16 was moved by Linda Lewin and seconded by Aaron Ferranti to approve the signing of the Ministry of Health Amendment 5-year agreement for an annual increase of $10,800 for the Indigenous Chronic Disease Prevention Program, Diabetes Education Program, for a total annual budget of $278,500. The motion was carried. Motion 17 was moved by Chris Miracle and seconded by Linda Lewin to defer MBQ 2022-23 audit for full review of council. The motion was carried. It's on the agenda today. Motion 18 was moved by Aaron Ferranti, seconded by Linda Lewin to approve to pay Hicks Morley invoice 701381 in the amount of $224 and invoice 701382 in the amount of $224, invoice 701383 in the amount of $392, invoice 701384 in the amount of $500 for human resources issues. Motion carried. Motion 19 was moved by Aaron Ferranti and seconded by Linda Lewin to approve to pay Derek Wong invoice 859 in the amount of $1,750 for the long-term care agreement and $12,250 for the MBQ corporate structure and economic development ventures. The motion was carried. Motion 20 was moved by Chris Miracle and seconded by Linda Lewin to defer the new dock purchases for Councillor Chris Brandt to be present for discussion. The motion was carried. Council confirmed the following meetings: September the 24th, the Tyendinaga Mohawk Council local business; October the 1st, the Tyendinaga Mohawk Council regular meeting today; October the 9th, 2024, the Mohawk Council local agenda business; October the 16th, the Tyendinaga Mohawk Council regular council meeting; October the 22nd, Tyendinaga Mohawk Council local business. Motion 21 was moved by Aaron Ferranti and seconded by Linda Lewin that this meeting go into private at 12:05 p.m. The motion was carried. These are the minutes recorded by Shelley Bowden, the Executive Administrative Assistant and Recording Secretary to the Council. So 4 corrections. Motion 4, the funding is spelt wrong. That's really a lobby session. It's all the same thing.
Yeah, but you're, today, you October 1st, and you decided not to.
Okay. Yeah, because we had council today. That's today, and we have council. So I can't be in 2 places at once. And on motion 9, just that oblique thing needs between the MCR 2024 and 25. Those are the only corrections I have. Are there any other errors, omissions, or corrections? Chris, do you have any? Chip, do you have any? Aaron? Chris? Motion to accept the minutes as corrected.
I'll motion.
Yes. Aaron and Chris Brandt. Meetings outside of the territory. Besides the ones that are already in the minutes, does the council have any meetings outside of the territory?
Nope.
None? Let me see, let me check my calendar here. That's a Zoom call. So number 4,
Oh, Shelley has a question.
Shelley?
You were attending the AFN National Climate Gathering on October 7th to the 10th in Calgary.
I think I'm not going to go to that because I don't see what we're going to accomplish there.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen the agenda. I did check with Kathleen Padello. She's not going either. Like, I mean, we already know what our climate change issues. We have floods. We have droughts. We have water insecurity. Yeah. I think that I was asked at one time if I would present at the climate change meeting, but I wanted to find out if the AFN was going to be paying those expenses. We haven't heard back. And so I don't intend to use band funds to go out there because we know that the climate change is real. The question is, what funding is there available to help First Nations? Okay. The meetings outside of the territory. The regular council meeting is November the 6th and 20th. And the local business is November 13th and 27th at 7 p.m. Regular council is always at 9:30. And the regular meetings for December 4th and 18th are at 9:30 a.m. Local business is December the 11th and at 7 p.m. Is there a motion to approve these dates?
Make a motion, Chief.
Curtis? Is there a seconder?
Hold on, Shelley, I have the,
You need approval to attend the National Association Homeless and Mental Wellness Forum, November 13th and 14th in Vancouver.
That is another question. Are they paying the expenses? I guess, well, tentatively, I'd attend because we have homelessness here. But the strategy is supposed to be in the National Housing Policy of Canada, which is a 10-year policy. And Indigenous people are supposed to be a priority. And what I see that it's not fully implemented properly. You know, we're still waiting for the province of Ontario to release COB money. That's been available since March of 2020 and not here. We're eligible, but because of the confusion between the federal and provincial government, that funding has not rolled out to the First Nations people. It's straightened around because of the intervention that I made with CMHC and to find out, first of all, eligibility for First Nations on reserve. That can pay up to $354 a month for people struggling with rent. There's criteria, of course, and it's based on your income and affordability. But so we're still working with, and I'm following up all the time with Connor Dory because the county housing managers are responsible for managing the Canada-Ontario Housing Benefit Program until they can work something out with First Nations. But if that's the way it's going to go in the future. But right now we're supposed to be eligible through that process. I'm following up on it continually because people here need it.
do you want tentative approval for that?
I put it down for approval. I just need more information if they're covering the expenses. And again, I like to see the agenda, what they're going to discuss. I don't like to just go there and find out when we get there. So we can be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
So I just put it, I guess council approves, we'll get a motion to approve that attendance there then in Vancouver.
I'll motion.
Aaron? Yep. And really what's creating homelessness is affordability, the lack of affordability. And actually, if they get loans based on what they can afford to pay, they can't finish their houses. So you get houses that are half built, then they're coming back for more money for the septic system or so achieving affordability is an issue. So the Chiefs Committee on Housing, when I was chairing, they were renting for people to achieve affordability. They were recommending to the government a grant and loan combination for people that are struggling of achieving affordability. And again, that's what the recommendation that was going to go forward with the Chiefs Committee on Housing. But when the Deputy Grand Chiefs took over chairing the committees, then the community chiefs had to give up the chair because, you know, I was the interim chair of that committee because they didn't have a Deputy Grand Chief. But I'm the AIA rep on that committee. And I'm always invited to go to the FN committee meetings. Because housing is a real challenge for a lot of people. That's one of our huge issues. Housing and safe drinking water. Chris?
Chief, on the agenda items, back on September 16th, I sent a request for the AI dollars to be on the agenda.
The AI.
Yeah. You received again? I'm sorry?
We had, you wanted
Yeah.
information on it?
Well,
Okay. Angela, you have to speak into your mic, otherwise people online are not going to hear you.
What I wanted is for chief and council to have a discussion regarding the AI dollars. And my position is, I think some would agree, is that sole sourcing someone for governance or election training, we need bylaws right now, residential construction. We need bylaws for property standards. We need that stuff now. And I want that on the agenda. And again, it's not on the agenda. At September 9th, I put it on for the next agenda for an update on lacrosse box. And it's not happened.
Okay, Angela, can you speak into the mic so that people can hear the answer? Because I don't know they won't hear what you said. We were trying to answer his question.
I was just gonna say the request for the AI dollars, I was trying to gather the information on the money and where it went and all that stuff, and it wasn't ready yet, so that's why. And
So
then-
will it be ready for the next council meeting then?
Yeah, we can get it on next
Okay.
one.
Is that your mic there, the other
Well, it
one?
was
Are you,
for people, I think, when they came in for local business, I just hadn't moved it around.
okay, so that's your mic, Chris.
Yep.
So Chris, you'll have to take back your own mic because otherwise they are not going to be able to hear you. Okay, thank you.
Do you need a motion for the
Yeah,
TNC
so
meeting for
the motion has
November?
been moved and seconded that I approve to attend the Vancouver meeting pending review of the agenda.
And the financing.
If AIFN's paying for it, then I'll go to it, but I want to see the agenda first to see how, there's no sense in just rehashing and what the problems are. We need to know what the solution is. And the reality is we're going to need government funding to better it. And probably provincial money as well, because the need is so great. The province said that at this time, the letter that came from the province about the provincial money said at this time they didn't approve it, but it was qualified. So I need to follow up with the premier on that. See, when are they going to do it? Chris?
Chief, I believe as a community, we have to step up and not be, the feds and the province have fiduciary responsibilities, but I think if we have discretionary funding, should we be investing tens of millions of dollars in investments or other things off reserve when the money could be better spent investing in housing in our community? Investments that sometimes provide some income, but that doesn't put a roof over someone's head.
Because I can tell you right now that people are struggling. That most of the calls I get in my office are about the lack of money for post-secondary education, the lack of affordable housing, and the lack of safe drinking water, and follow up on the distribution of the Culberson claim.
Well, again, I reiterate, if we have discretionary funding and we're going to invest, we should be investing in our own community, not ventures off reserve that may or may not provide an income.
The problem,
23 on the agenda.
yeah, this is why we are following up with programs and the Indigenous Services Canada, because the biggest portion of the interest earned from our investments top up a lot of the programs and services that are already in place. And if you squander that money, if you spend all that money, then that top up is there, then you're going to have to cut programs and services.
What money you talk about squandering? You mean in off reserve investments?
Well, if you put it all into housing, which I don't disagree, Chris, but I'm going to tell you the money has to come from somewhere if you're going to maintain the existing programs and services, because the cost of those services is not totally covered by the funders. So some of the interest off of our investment has to top up all those program and services. Every year, the council passes a resolution to top up those programs and services, and that takes care of pretty much all of the interest off of your investments. If you don't have the investments, you lose all of that interest income.
I think we're well overdue for a community consultation meeting and get some direction from the community in regards to which way do we go, off reserve investments or focus on housing, putting roofs over top of our elders' heads.
Okay, if you want to put it all into housing,
I didn't say all in housing, I'm just saying we should get a mandate from the community. I don't know if I would be given a mandate to spend tens of millions of dollars or borrowing tens of millions without the community knowing.
The council is elected to make decisions.
Yeah, but you also put out a platform saying, here's my priorities. If you put out nothing, well then, I'm just saying the community should be engaged. They were disappointed when we bought a golf course with little engagement. And now we're talking spending 10 times that amount on number 23.
Can we stick
I
to
think
the
the community
agenda?
should be engaged.
Okay. So there's also a need for supportive housing here because some people need supportive housing. We need an emergency shelter because right now when people are homeless, we have no place to send them to put any kind of roof over their head. A lot of them need help with managing money to keep up with paying rent and mortgages because of the low income.
Chief, do you need a motion for the November and December meetings, or did you get one already?
I do. It's been moved by Aaron, and who's seconding
I
it? Chris will second it.
Yep.
And I'll let you know if I'm going to go or not, but I need to see the agenda. I don't see the point in rehashing. We've rehashed, it's been
Oh,
discussed.
that was for the meetings outside the territory.
Yeah.
I meant for the following one. We had talked about the November and December dates, but I didn't know if you need a motion for that one.
And it's hard to hear in this room. I didn't hear what you said.
Me?
Yeah, what did you say?
Oh, we were talking about the meetings for November and December as well, and I
Yes.
just didn't know if you got a motion for that one already.
Yeah, I thought you moved and Chris seconded.
Yeah,
I'm good with that.
Yeah. Okay, so the motion is carried.
Number 3 and 4, because we talked about the November and December dates, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we both.
Well,
Aaron, you.
Then you kind of
we're on
mashed
we're on
it.
number 3. We don't combine. The number 3 is the meetings outside the territory. So there's a motion then for me to attend the Vancouver meeting after review of the agenda and after I review the agenda and determine whether or not the AFN's paying for it.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the motion. Anybody opposed? Motion's carried. Because I don't see the point in just going to a meeting where the chiefs are just going to lament the problems. The question is, what solution is there? And I think we have to have a meeting with the federal government about it. I'm not in favor of letting the federal government away with its fiduciary responsibilities. You know, they take an awful lot of land and resources that run this economy of this country. And I don't think that we should be scrambling or have to cut programs and services to achieve housing. Because that's what we have to do if we're going to spend our investment money. And I guess I guess you'd have to look at the number of clients the existing programs serve if you're going to make that decision to have cuts in the future, but you can't do both. We don't have a resource level to do both. Okay, was there any other business arising from the minutes? Okay, the introduction to the Native Land Management Association, Introduction to Land Management for Chief and Council.
Yes.
Yes.
The focus of this training is to provide information to participants that are not familiar with land management on reserved lands. Basic information is to assist participants to better understand the fundamental concepts of land management and includes affecting policy procedures. It's going to be October 16th, 2024, 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I presume this is a Zoom call, is it? Or is it?
Yes, it is. It's on Zoom.
So I think what we do have is acknowledge the information. Do we have to register for this? I think it's important for the council to understand this. So I think it would be wise if the council were to become informed about it and updated on land management on reserve.
So we have regular council on the 16th. Is there any other date for this, or can we take a little break in between, or can we do it together? Is it a thing we can add to council?
Do it all together.
Okay.
Let's just add it to the agenda on the 16th of October. Council agrees.
I'm okay with that.
Motion to add to the agenda.
Are you guys okay with that?
Yep.
I'll motion.
Who will second it?
I will, chief.
Anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? Seeing none. We have a quote from Deloitte. We did talk about this. As you all know, the staff are severely overworked, and particularly in the finance department. And they've, recently approved hiring some additional staff there to keep up with the level of the volume of transactions that we have.
Shelley's got a.
Shelley?
So I would like to continue this discussion on this quote.
Okay.
Okay, bring her in. And the total cost is $598,000 to do this.
Isn't that only a portion of it?
Sherry told me it was around 600,000.
Yeah,
Doesn't it say in there though that they don't do the,
that doesn't include a couple of other things on there as well.
like setting up the trust or something like that? Isn't that part of it?
It said that they didn't think that there would be enough kids that would need it to go into trust for them to do it, and that it could be handled by MBQ.
So really what I would suggest to the minors that we just have a meeting with the Bank of Montreal and open up bank accounts that they can access when they're 18 years old or 21. Some communities are saying 21 years old. And then it earns interest, or maybe BMO Nesbitt Burn trust accounts. But I there may not be enough money there, but you certainly can set up a trust account. And I know for any new bank accounts, the Bank of Montreal used to add $300 extra in that account. That's what I would recommend. Or set it up with Indigenous Services Canada. They pay interest on those trust accounts too.
Maybe we can get some more information on that. Morning.
Morning, Elise.
Sorry, I wasn't ready for you. Okay, I have it pulled up.
Oh, it also didn't include the call center setup, I believe. So there would be an additional fee for that.
So this wouldn't be inclusive.
Is Cecil here today? I think I saw her in her office.
This won't be inclusive of all costs, then, right, to do this?
Angela, do you want to see if Cecil's going to join us?
Or,
I thought Shelley said Cecil wanted to join us.
Lisa.
Okay, why don't we bring Cecil in as well?
Chief, why was there only one quote? Why sole sourcing the loot?
Well, first of all, Lisa, how many, when we do mail out ballots, how many of those things get returned because of address unknown? About 30%?
Maybe not quite 30%, but we also have about pushing a third of our members without addresses as well,
In addition to
in addition to
the
that.
people do not keep up to date with their information online. They don't keep their mailing address, their email address, their phone numbers, contacts. So there's a huge research issue to find these people.
We do not go looking for them. So
Well, we did.
publicizing that we are doing a payout will at least bring a good number of people forward to provide their information for this.
And
I
the
think.
other thing is that there's a lot of fraud.
Wherever
going-
you want.
I see. So I understand that Cecil, that you and Sherry have discussed this Deloitte quote.
Yes, so I reached out to the partner. Sorry. Good morning, everyone. Well, I reached out to the partner of Deloitte and we had a discussion. First initial discussion was just gathering the information that what is the scope of work that we want them to do. So I explained them what we want them to do, and got some experience of they have many other same kind of scope of work done for other nations as well. So I discussed this with Sherry, and finally they have shared us the quote which is close to 600,000. And that's why I wanted to say.
Does that include everything?
Yes, doesn't include two things, which are the questions that the partner has asked is, do you want to set up a call center? And I discussed with Sherry and she said to me that we should be having call center set up as well. So that could be a revision of the quote. Like this was excluding the 600,000 was excluding the call center. So once we send him some more questions that we have in regards to the email, and the request of call center, maybe there is a revision of the
Yeah.
cost.
And the other thing that council needs to be aware, there's an awful lot of online fraud going on. I helped an elder who was defrauded of tens of thousands of dollars. We went with the police about that issue. And so Deloitte is insured, I presume, to cover anything that would result as online through misrepresentation and false documents and all that kind of stuff.
So-
They would be liable for all that.
Okay, so considering all these questions that we have, want to ensure, we will put this all as a clause in the contract and also discuss with them. Like this is just a first step of a call and then the quote, and now we should have another meeting where I would request like Sherry and Lisa and Angela be part of them, and we can discuss such type of clauses and put them in the contract as well.
Yeah, because our membership, we have 2,200 members that live on the reserve, or both that. And there's, our membership, I understand, Lisa, is 12,800 approximately, is that correct?
Close to that, I would have said in the 11,000s,
Yeah,
but I
you
don't
said.
have the most up-to-date number.
So this 80% of the people live off the reserve, and I would presume that the people that live off the reserve, they're the ones we don't have mailing addresses for, because we have 911 for most of the calls here, so we have that information in our data system. Now, is our data system for on reserve up to date in the registry?
It's only as
That I
up to
don't
date-
know.
It's only as up to date as people do it. Like I see there's a call out all the time
Okay,
for people
so-
to submit their addresses.
So I guess when the Scott, I understand, is responsible for 911 numbers, and who has that they don't update the registry.
No,
The program should be able to communicate to each other, because that system is very important. If the information is already here,
all we would have is a first and last name of somebody on
Okay.
the
Well,
911 listing, so
maybe
we
what we can
potentially
do-
do not know which person that is.
well, maybe what we could do when they get a 911 number, they could assign an authorization to share that with Bonnie and membership, so we can keep it up to date as it happens.
We would need more information than just their name.
Okay, and
to be
maybe,
able to change an address on there.
or have another application ready there that they can fill out when they get the 911 number, or just send it out in the mail for everybody to update their information if they've moved or have a different address.
We consistently
different phone
have
number.
that in the newsletter, on
Like
social
every few
media,
weeks
on
it's
our
been
website.
posted.
Yeah.
We have it everywhere.
Because I can tell you, finding people when they had the ratification vote, I had a very big phone bill, phoning. I made about 800 calls.
No,
based
I
on-
understand.
Based on what was in my head.
Right, and we have updated, people did call and provide their stuff at that time, but if they have moved subsequent, they don't keep us up to date.
So,
And some people participated and didn't provide their,
and then there's also
information.
a significant number of people that went to school on the reserve that moved away, and they would have had either the water claim settlement money, or they would have had the Indian Day School settlement money, and so that information is already with Deloitte. It's not necessarily here. The addresses and contact information. Chris?
I just had a question about the 911 numbers. To get a new 911 number, does the land have to be transferred to another person's name, or can, let's say, myself, let's just take myself. I've got a big piece of land and I want to just put another driveway on my piece of land. Can I have a 911 number for that driveway?
You'd have to ask Scott and Todd
Yeah.
about that.
You
But
might
for-
be considered as your 911 number, you might be as A and B, you may be, because it's the same parcel of land. But you'd have to ask him, but I've seen that's what they were doing when they first started.
Oh, okay,
That's an administrative question for Todd and,
that's good. Thank you very much.
okay, Chris?
Yeah, I have a question for Cecil. Do other organizations not potentially have access to the data? Any thoughts to hiring community members on a term position to do the research, work with lands, membership, etc., to get this money out? Because the quote for 600K is based upon adults. Or probably 2/3 of our population is not adults. So if it's 600K for adults, would it be fair to say it's going to be 1.8 million if you factor in the kids?
So here I read his email again of the partner. What he has said that as per the eligibility which we have put in the motion, which is October 16, 2021, there will be some low number of minors and other deceased members, those lists as well. So he has suggested in his email that he has not captured the cost of managing the trust accounts. He suggests that should be done
Okay.
in-house,
We,
like
we,
by
we,
us.
we don't
by
need them to manage.
MBQ.
We don't, because of the money, all we have to do is set up a trust account. It can be set up at the Bank of Montreal,
Yes.
or it could be set up with Indigenous Services Canada or some other investment, but they don't have to manage it. The investor does that.
You're right, Chief, but
A
once
bank
you
account will just continue to grow
Yeah,
interest.
once you set up an account, the trust account, you still, each year there is an interest put, like as other trust accounts
Okay.
are showed in our financial, that will become part of our financial until they are matured, like until the person, the age of that child is 18, they are still in possession like of MBQ bank.
Okay,
So
I don't want
there
a-
is a management of it every year.
Okay,
I understand
I-
setting up is easy, but still there is every year there is an entry of interest and those things which are till every person's, we have to keep a record of it, and that's what the partner suggests, that should be done in-house, and they don't want to do this.
So what I had envisioned, Cecil, was that they would set up individual trust accounts, not a
Yes,
global
yes.
one where you'd have to
No,
hire
no, we
staff
will set
to
up
allocate the
We will
interest.
set up individually, but still each people's list will be there. We will have all the records of that person, who is getting at what age, and that record has to be every year still part of our financial, because the money is still not given of the individual. It is still part of a trust fund which is of MBQ. So
Okay.
there is a financial impact on that.
So,
as
so
well.
really, all the bank would have to do is prepare a list of trust accounts and prepare a report on the amount of interest that each of those trust accounts got, and then we would incorporate that into
Yes,
our audit.
yes, and that
Without making it labor intensive here.
Correct. And that he's suggesting to be done in-house, and he has not captured that
Okay.
in the code.
Okay,
So I'm gonna repeat my question.
Yeah.
Is Duluth the only organization with access to all the folks' addresses, et cetera?
No,
Okay,
so
Lisa, you're next.
considering the experience that they have done our water claims and their experience with doing with other First Nation, Deloitte is the organization who has also got the child care 23 billion, which is coming up now. They are managing even that. They have vast experience with these kinds of claims, you know. That's why as per chief's request, I reach out to that organization. Of course, there are other big four firms like Ernst & Young, PricewaterhouseCoopers as well, but I'm not familiar with how they have managed such claims, and Deloitte has quite experience
Okay.
with managing.
So if it's being proposed to do the children in-house, why couldn't we do the adults in-house?
Well, that was what was first shared
Okay.
to Sherry, but I think
Do you know,
with the chief
if-
request, we
if,
reached out to.
if our membership code was more up to date and current, Lisa?
Has a,
I am sorry. The two things I just want to clear up. We have not released our membership information to Deloitte.
Nobody's saying you did.
It's making it sound like we did
No.
because
No, what-
comments were made about they already have our information.
because people-
We did not release that.
Yeah,
Number one. So I want to be clear because the outside world is listening to that. Secondly, our membership, we don't have a membership code, Chief. We follow the Indian Act. So there is no MBQ updating that. And number three, we do not have anybody's consent to release the membership information to Deloitte.
okay, my point was that because a number of people made applications to the Indian Day School Settlement Fund, to Deloitte, not through the band, we had nothing to do with that. The water claim, if they once lived on the reserve and moved away, because a lot of the people here have moved away from the reserve over the years, and you know that there's already a database for some of it with Deloitte already based on the Indian Day School Settlement and the water.
Nothing I signed said that they can share that information to another file.
And so the other thing is they're going to have to apply, but what I like about it is that they're insured for fraud and stuff like that, because there is a lot of online fraud.
Yeah, we will ensure all that in the clause. And other thing is there will be complete application process, and they will take consent of each members. They do this very formal process will be set up by them when they are charging this kind of money for the code. There will be a complete from consent to start of application, all the steps which they have done with other such types of claims with other nations as well.
And they've already done the work where we would be researching but as when we had that plebiscite vote for the Culberson partial settlement, the information got updated as we got it. Because any of the addresses that I obtained, I gave it to Bonnie to update the mailing address.
That information did not make its way to Deloitte, though.
No, it's in our membership.
Yes.
So there'd have to be I guess we'd have to get permission from those people then to share that information if they want the money.
Well, if you have to do the research to get to permission, you might as well just do it in-house. If you got to reach out to everybody, you might as well just do it in-house.
But one
You're
thing I
halfway
do not
there.
want, I do not want thousands of calls coming to my office or people showing up to say, where's my check? Where's my check? I do not, I have too many other responsibilities. So if somebody wants to sit here and answer those questions, then please step up to the plate.
When we, as individuals, let's say, applied for, let's say, the water money, we did it as individuals to an application. So why could it not be done the same way for this culverts and track
It would
money?
have
So
to-
everybody would have to contact, let's say, Deloitte to get their money, so that nothing goes through MBQ. Deloitte, if they are hired to do the job, well, then it's up to each individual of membership. All we can do is we can make a announcement over and over again to those people that belong to our membership. It's up to them to contact Deloitte as the company that's taking care of it, let's say, to get their money. So MBQ wouldn't have any of that. They could call in to find out how do we go about it. So all we would have to say is call Deloitte and
I don't know if that meets the bar for due diligence.
Okay,
If you said every member's gonna get their payment,
well, how did
the onus not on us to seek them out, because it's different from water money, it's a different organization distributing. We are distributing, not somebody else.
But there's a reason why the government contracted that out and didn't just give a contribution to First Nations to do it. The other thing about it is right now, you get complaints that people don't get callbacks. Then as a result, then it snowballs into my house. Nobody called me back on this. The staff have a lot of work to do. There would be training involved. We'd be talking about this problem not being destroyed this time next year because the staff already have a workload. And who's going to train these staff? Who's going to train them how to do fraud prevention and all this kind of stuff? Because all of that has to be taken into account. Because there's identity theft as well as online fraud.
Lisa and Cecil have some info.
In going through the assumptions that Deloitte also provided below the quote number, list of eligible members will be provided to Deloitte. So we do have to provide them some information, which we do not have at this point. Deloitte is only doing a 3-month claim submission period. So as far as Deloitte is concerned, by where I read this, that after 3 months and payments are made, Deloitte is done. We could still have any number of people coming to us after that, looking for their payment. There will be no letters issued to claimants for missing information. So people are going to make an application.
Okay.
Maybe their copy of their band card or identification didn't make it through. Deloitte isn't going to reach back out to them looking for that. They're just going to be a no payment. And we're going to be dealing with those. And it sounds like a one-time check period. In addition to these costs, any replacements checks will be billed at an additional $5 per replacement. And the quote estimates that 10%, that there's a 10% of that is happening. So that is in the quote. And checks will be issued via regular mail and will be billed per item. So there's still additional mail costs on top of the quote we received based on how many they mail out. And it also, one of their follow-up questions was, does the band want to review and approve the payment list prior to the issuing of checks?
Okay.
Which I would, if
Well,
you're going with Deloitte, I would suggest that we do that while it's additional work here. But we have to do our due diligence as well.
The only other place you might want to talk to Indigenous Services Canada to see if we set up trust accounts there, because they do have people that manage trust accounts and they pay interest on those accounts. They have staff and the government would self-insure that.
I can reach out to Kyle.
And
or
they have
someone.
access to the membership records. Chris?
Chief, this is a road we've never been down before, and if we're gonna do it, we gotta do it right. As much as I don't like spending money that's on lawyers, I would like to have a legal opinion to know that this approach does meet the bar, the level of due diligence, et cetera, et cetera.
Because, though people say, I never got my check, chief, and can you look into it for me? Can you look into it for me? And then I have to go to the staff, and the staff you're going to frustrate them to no end if they have to deal with all kinds of complaints like that and do the research, because that all takes a lot of time.
I think
Are
we're going
there
to run
any
into
other
that
options
situation
for
anyway.
distribution?
I just think it's going to be
At some point or other, I think that there's going to be somebody not getting a check, and we're going to get phone calls, or the chief will be getting phone calls from outside. That's going to happen no matter what. When you have such a big membership, not every single person is going to be taken care of, guaranteed. So there's always going to run. But the idea is to have the majority taken care of. Then that's a good thing.
Can I get clarity? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to, you mentioned in regards to the funds. So when I spoke to the partner, whatever amount total, say $11 million, suppose, like, the total 11,000, we will transfer it to their bank account and then they will keep issuing the check. And in regards to what Chris said, it will be exactly the right process. Yes, every member will contact Deloitte, and that's how the application will take place and the consent and everything.
Okay.
But yes, there will be few at the end, and as we read through assumption, there are going to be some which might, not get the check, and at the end we might have to deal with them. But majority could be dealt
And the
by
other
them.
thing is that when people die, they do not provide death certificates so we can know that those people are, which band members are alive and which ones are dead.
They would
It's a
have to
presumption.
Provide them to Deloitte, they have a clause in there.
And
that would
then,
go
then
to
you get
their-
into estate issues.
Estate issues,
Then
yeah.
who is the administrator or executor? Where is the will? You don't just cut checks out because people phone here.
So I have a question, Chief. Why did we do the kids in-house with bank accounts, but the adults are separate? Why would we do part in-house, not all of it?
Well, what you could do is, based on the membership list and verification that they're still living.
No, I'm just asking for, I'm trying to get my head around, we'll do all the kids, so it's not bank accounts.
Okay.
But for the adults, we give it to the consultant to work with. Why are we doing part of it in-house?
No, because the kids will require a trust account to be opened for each individual child,
Right.
because they are not 18, right?
Right.
And for that, there is a kind of a work which is required to
Okay.
contact banks, and so the Deloitte is saying that we will manage the adult, which is the issuing of check, but minor, which would be a lower number, not
Yeah.
not like based on eligibility. He's suggesting, the partner is suggesting that we do that
Okay,
in-house,
then-
that work.
then who-
If we want to give them, of course, there will be revision in the court and any other assumption which we want them that, y'all take care. Of course, it comes with a price. So the price will increase if we want them to do more job then.
The other thing, for a minor bank account, there has to be a trustee. So who is the trustee?
Is this our only option?
We can talk to the bank, we could talk to the department to see if there's a different way of doing it.
Lisa was.
My first thought upon seeing the quote is, if we're going to pay this much, why would we not hire X number of people for a year to handle this, or 8 months or whatever? Deloitte is giving us 3 months on this, and we're still going to need
Yeah.
people
After the fact.
after.
Then somebody's got to supervise that, and I always get complaints from the council about backlog of work. Why is this not getting done? Why is that not getting done? There's a lot of work involved with this, and there's a lot of verification to make sure these payments are valid. You don't just waltz in here and flash your band card and say, unless we know them. But there's a lot of people that we don't know.
But that's what she's saying, Chief.
We're still going to have that work to do after 3 months of
After the-
Deloitte.
Exactly.
And
Because
we
if
also
Deloitte
know-
only handles half of them because people didn't come forward, we still have the other half
And
to
we
deal
also
with.
know that there are fraudulent status cards in circulation.
But the
Chris?
ISC would have all that information anyway, right? We can get confirmation if they're,
We have that information through
Yeah.
the system.
yeah.
Okay, my question, and it was a thought that, okay, if we talk about hiring people to do the same thing as Deloitte is doing. First of all, the chief had said that then you're going to need somebody to supervise all of those people that we are hiring
And train them.
and training them, but also is that this company Deloitte has been doing it for years. And how many people do they actually hire? Do they have like 1,000 people that they are under their company taking care of this job? I'm sure it's not just one or two.
They have a lot of professionally
They
trained
have a
people
lot
to do
of
this work
professionals already. So, and they're being paid through their company. So how many do we hire to do the same job that Deloitte would be able to do?
Okay.
And financially, is it better off that we hire Deloitte, or is it better off that we hire and train that many number of workers?
We'll have to do a workout, like a plan workout and feasibility in regards to the cost of hiring and compare that with the code that we have got. And in regards to the experience, I can even ask the Deloitte to provide us all the, like, which other First Nation they have, served and what's their experience. I can get more of those details as well, which
Okay,
could
Chris, after she's
support. But yes, we'll have to do an estimate workout of the how many people we want, what's their salary range, what professional, or like some at some at seniority level to supervise, like, and then kind of compare that with this total quote.
Train them on the confidentiality, the membership system, because if they breach that, then we're in trouble.
And then the second question about that, thank you very much, Cecil. The second part of that is time frame. So how long is that going to take to do all of the training and everything, for us to be able to then start passing out the checks, as opposed to Deloitte is already trained. They're already, so the time frame, like how long would that take for us to do this same process as Deloitte already has in under their belt right now? You see what I'm getting at there?
We'll
with
have to
that?
consider that time frame as well.
Yeah, so what would the time frame be then? Like, I mean, if we hired, let's say, if it's just a thought. So if we hired Deloitte, they can get on it and start the process right away. So, but if we went the other way, what kind of time frame are we looking at then? Would it be another 6 months before we're able to get the ball rolling? It's just a thought.
Angela?
Okay. So to me, you were talking about 12,000 people or whatever. Not all of them are going to be eligible, correct?
It said about
If they're members.
770.
Members.
I know, but of those, because we have a specific date in mind,
Yeah.
not every single one of them are going to be eligible.
Yeah.
So it's roughly about 10,000.
10,000.
Okay. We also know from the vote or that we've done that there's still numerous records that are not up to date, correct? We don't have the correct mailing addresses, we don't have anything.
Correct.
So whatever we're giving Deloitte still is gonna have
We
incorrect
can't give
information.
Deloitte anything.
No, we are not going to
Okay,
give.
even-
They're going to have to
that's
research
the
it.
case. But there's still thousands and thousands of records that are not up to date. So how is it Deloitte doing it? Like, we're still gonna have to spend, you said how many days calling 800 people from based on what you know.
It took me
And updating
3
it
months.
good, but that's only a minute portion of the whole great big number. Like, we're gonna have so many people that probably still won't get, this is gonna be dealt with for years and years, right?
Oh, by the
Potentially.
time we're done, it.
But
we
that's
still
why,
have
that's why,
15 years.
that's why I think it
kids.
might be even be advisable just to set up trust accounts and because in perpetuity, they'll grant, and we just put on our website, if you are a member of the band and you are eligible to this criteria, this is who you contact to get your money. Because I just think it's going to be a nightmare to manage.
Yeah, but even giving it to Deloitte. it's-
It would work, the process that we're talking about here would work well for the people that live on the reserve because we know who they are. In some cases, we know who their relatives are off reserve, but there is a whole lot that's unknown.
But even the ones on reserve aren't even up to date in our system.
At the end of the day, who's gonna update everybody? Will it eventually be internally that we have to do all that work at some point?
Yes,
We kill two
so,
birds, one stone potentially. And I want to put a motion on the floor, Chief. That's too open-ended, what we see there. It can easily be over 1 million, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, maybe millions. I would like to leave a legal opinion from a lawyer with expertise in this area.
In
I don't
trust.
need a lawyer, but an opinion saying there might be 1 million holes in that, what they put forward.
Okay, so to have it legally reviewed by a trust lawyer. Is that your word?
Yes, please.
Okay, moved by Chris. Is there a seconder of that motion? Is there a
that,
second for the motion?
I'm just trying to, I'm thinking about, have a lawyer,
They're going to review that contract to see if there's any, to review it to see if it's sound, and of course, what are the pitfalls. The other thing I'd like to ask whether or not the council would like to have a call with Ian Smith from the Bank of Montreal to have him come to council to see what advice the bank might give us, and also who looks after reserves and trusts from Indian Affairs, like
Steve
individual
Patrick.
trust accounts, to have them come to the same
would,
council meeting.
yeah, okay, so a question to that then, would that suffice of having somebody as a professional like that as opposed to a lawyer?
I think it's gonna be a couple $1,000s, but money well spent, because we're gonna be spending millions at the end of the day, and you're gonna get the banker to come anyways for free.
Yeah. And
So
and
have
the
them
services
both,
will
have
come-
both, like,
legal
so have
opinion.
two of them come.
Legal
But-
opinion regarding this.
But the contract hasn't been put yet. This is just an email quote that we
It's
have
about,
got.
it's a quote, that's
No
all it
public
is.
I
quote
know,
yet,
I
yeah.
understand that, but before we go any further with doing, somebody with expertise, give us some advice. It's money well spent.
Okay, it's been moved, is there a second? I support the motion.
Okay, I'll second that then.
Okay, so it's,
But I
Curtis?
would like to see, I would like to have, if we can, have both then, the lawyer
Yeah.
and the bank, the.
we'll do
gentleman
that
you
separately.
talked
We'll do, reviewing this contract with a separate motion.
With full,
And so it's been moved and
full
seconded.
council.
Curtis
But-
and Aaron.
But with full counsel, everybody here, and
You
we
want-
don't
you
do it
want 'em all
unless
here.
everyone is
You
here.
want full council.
Okay, we'll review with full.
That's
counsel.
how we'll deal with it.
Okay, so you're,
He did.
Yeah, I
He
seconded it.
seconded Chris.
I seconded it, Chris's motion.
are you in favor of the lawyer reviewing this?
Yeah,
Aaron, are you in favor?
but I want full council here.
I don't think at this point it's necessary to have them review this just because it's just a quote. Further down the line, it might be more appropriate. I would rather see more options, like more options to another bank or another firm like Deloitte or a local organization that says, hey, we can do this for half the price and all the money stays here in the community. We have to pay for it regardless.
But isn't that?
I wasn't part of the first motion to make this a thing anyway, so I'm not super on board at all. So I'm gonna abstain.
We have a quorum of council. The motion is carried.
Chief, do you want me to reach out to Ian Smith and
Okay,
Steve
then that's
Patrick?
a second motion. I'd like to have, I'd request council have a meeting with Ian Smith or somebody in the bank that deals with trusts and also Indigenous Services Canada to see what the options are.
You can ask him that Thursday too. But
Have both come to the meeting, to a meeting specifically to talk about this.
said the advice from the bank.
Yeah. So we'll invite them to the same meeting when they come.
I would like to have a lawyer's opinion in hand before we further
But
engage.
normally the lawyer's opinion is confidential to the council.
Yes, yeah,
So we would not be sharing that with the department or anyone else.
that's fine. I still want that information.
But that's why I said there should be a separate meeting with Deloitte or maybe all of them that potentially could do this work.
But how you suggest a meeting with the banker for free?
The banker for free, the department for free.
I'll move meeting with the bank and Indigenous Affairs.
And maybe, you know, what they could do, if the department was handling, maybe they could hire someone from here and have an office here to deal with this because people would come here instead of the department. There's a membership clerk over there. When we had them come to deal with the new status card, we had them come and we had a clinic at the community center. Do you recall that, Lisa?
Yes,
They
Chief.
came 2 days. As a matter of fact, Akwesasne had them come again because it was more convenient for the people to go to their community than to run to Toronto or Ottawa. And we should do the same thing here. We should invite them to come back here and have another clinic to update status cards as they expire. So I don't keep getting calls to my office about it because we don't issue those secured status cards.
Would we have, just a question, Lisa, would we have somebody that you might have in mind or that you might know of that could oversee this kind of project if we took care of it ourselves rather than hiring out? Or would we need to put out a request like for?
You know,
I'm sure.
Like a call for tender kind of thing?
So two options. I guess you could do a call for tender if you're looking for a consulting firm to handle it. The same issue being, I cannot release the membership to them.
yeah.
So I can't release information.
But
But
yeah,
we just can't, no matter who is handling it. Just
As a
can't.
matter of fact, the department even has to authorize who has access to that federal system, because it is a federal system.
Correct. So we do have two membership people here. Both are busy as well. So we would have to look at rejigging if we were going to do it in-house, rejigging some of that. But I do think there's probably people that we could
Okay, Chris,
bring on temporarily that either may have done similar work or are able to help. Some of it is just sitting with the member to make sure the form is done correctly or helping them fill that out
Chris?
and passing to membership.
Like we have somebody doing that currently for the water money, right?
Grant.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, then it would be the exact same thing like we had talked about and Cecil had touched on also, is that it would be up to the membership themselves to get in contact rather than
Yeah.
us try to put out, we can make like postings and we can make a letter to go out to the membership.
see.
But it would be up to the membership to contact whoever was in charge of
So-
the money.
Yeah, we would still need a form for them to fill out and we would still need identification.
So,
When the Culbertson survey was handled, we did every mail out of my unit. So community services team came together. We did every mail out because we couldn't share names and addresses
and
and
as a matter of
stuff.
fact, if we
So-
had not got those 800 additional names and addresses, that vote would have failed.
And we can't share those names and addresses without
Consent. I need your
consent.
consent.
So
and
then,
you would have to reach out and get the consent anyway.
Yes.
so then, kind of like a legal form that everybody that is required to fill out before that would be also something that Chris had mentioned, a lawyer, get a lawyer's take on it. And if a lawyer is, would we already have written up a letter, or not a letter, but an application form, or would that have to be done as a legal form
Okay.
that a lawyer could
So
fill
Chris,
out?
just to be clear, because people are listening,
Yep.
all Grant was doing was helping fill out Deloitte applications and sending the paperwork in with the documentations. That's what his job was. He was helping them with the Deloitte process.
But it was Deloitte that made the application
Deloitte was the one who was
forms.
administering the money and the program and the check delivery and follow-up.
So my question was then, would we have, when we have a meeting, let's say with, or we hire a lawyer to get a lawyer's opinion, would we have the lawyer then make an application form?
So we can't have a system either where people, because if there's a lot of work involved and everybody's going to want their check tomorrow, they'll be phoning the counselors and you'll be running to the staff and on the backs, get this check out, get that check out, get this check.
Chief, there's a motion on the
And we
floor
can't
in support of
operate
the
that way.
recommendation.
Okay.
And we'll sit here, we can, what if till the cows come home? Let's have the experts sit down, explain this to us, and then we move
That's
forward.
what- that's
Otherwise,
what-
we go round and round.
That's what I have suggested. That's
And
what I
there's a
put on the
motion
table.
floor. Get the banker and Indigenous Affairs to make free presentations. It's free. And then we have some professional advice.
Yep.
But for a lawyer won't be free, right?
No, the lawyer we pay, but the chief is saying we also listen to a.
Talk to see what the
Yeah.
other options are. It's just to explore other
Yeah,
options.
that's good with all counsel.
Because the lawyer's opinion is going to.
Well, good
also
luck there.
affect Potential other options. But anyways, the
Well,
motion.
we just have
on
to
the
make
floor,
sure
Chief.
that everybody knows that this, when we're meeting with them, that we all make ourselves available no matter what.
Okay.
We come and let's get this done.
Okay, because this will just drag on and drag on and drag on. So the other thing I neglected to mention is Linda has had problems with her back, so she's off today, and then Aguari has has a course or something this morning, but he hopes to join later
Far enough
by
ahead.
Zoom.
Should be all right.
So he sent an email to advising. I thank them for letting us know, but Linda's on her way to the hospital. They're
Yeah,
back,
she's at the
bad
hospital.
back.
Lisa, if there's any other suggestions that you have of, with your experience in doing the Culbertson form originally and sending that out, can you let us know that as well? Like if you think that this is feasible or any potential way, if it's beefing up our membership for a little bit, like if it's gonna I'm sure this is gonna come in closer to $1 million by the time we're done it, with all the extra fees that it's talking about, and then after 3 months, we'll still have to take over everything essentially, because we know that
Yeah.
that window is gonna miss half people or whatever. You
And
know
the
what I
other-
mean? Like, what our options are and what we have to do to carry that forward, and if it is possible or feasible to do it in-house. If you,
Yeah, I will talk to membership and we'll kind of like lay it out and see what we can do and how much help we would need to do that. Membership just being one portion of the double checking, right? And then I don't have to worry regarding, you know, names or
yeah, people's
because we
information.
can't release that, so we're gonna still have to have some role in that.
Right.
Secondly, to see how many people it would take to do that and go from there. I also have the employment and training department too, so I do like to do as much as we could
Yeah,
in-house and provide skills and training to people to do that and some form of employment for a while. But yeah, we'll work out,
Okay.
maybe I'll work out like a plan of how that would be.
The other thing is that, you know, there could, in likelihood, will be a new government coming. We need to work on our land claims and focus on getting some of
Well,
that
let's
settled
stick
and
to
getting
this
some of that,
first.
getting additional money into the community because we're going to need it in the future. So we're just going to be caught up in administrative processes. We need to put some attention to that because right now we've done not much on land claims in this term of council.
so.
And we need to get on with
this,
it.
I imagine there's gonna be an influx of people coming and updating their membership as well and getting kids updated that haven't been updated in the years and years, so there'll be
Yes.
an influx there too, right? All right.
Okay.
Because, you know, if you keep piling more work on, then something's got to suffer and it will be land claims. Unless you don't care about it.
Chief, let me focus on this issue.
Because I'm going to tell you, you might smile, but we're going to miss the boat.
We are a two-man show there, and it's a one-man show with me in it.
Exactly. No, that's what I said. You know, they have a high workload right now. And just to add to it, to think that all of that can be done, I mean, you're living in a make-believe world.
I'm not saying
I'm not
existing
saying
staff
that-
do it.
yeah.
I'm saying that I will put forward a plan that will require additional people to come in
And,
on term
and
basis.
the other thing is that the people who are doing the other is that they are professionals. They are chartered accountants. They are licensed to deal with trusts.
Oh, I'm not saying we handle the trust at this point under this proposal.
No, but they're
somebody
trained.
is still
they're-
handling the
But
trust.
they're trained on fraud
regardless.
prevention and all that kind of stuff. Where you're going to hire just like a make work program for somebody. There's a lot of legal issues here.
Chief,
Which is
I
why we'll
thought the
get the
topic was,
legal.
It's not just about printing checks.
I thought the topic was you made a recommendation
I
for us
did.
to
Yeah, I
get
didn't
free
know.
advice.
Exact-
Put a motion on the floor to get free advice.
And I agree with that. I agree with all of that, Chris.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
After your is one
You
area.
already did
It's all,
that.
it's nothing but
Chris already
information
seconded
gathering.
that.
It's already seconded.
Okay, it's been said. Is there a motion? Is there a motion to invite Indian Affairs and the Bank of Montreal to an information session with council on other options?
Motion.
Motion moved by Chris,
Yes.
second by Chris Brandt.
And we make sure that we like we had mentioned before, that we make a date and enough time that everybody can be here. And,
Look, I don't agree with that because council is not paralyzed with, like, the council has a responsibility. Our responsibility is to notify, when the council makes motions to set dates, then you are expected to be here. You're expected to know what's on your calendar And if you make a motion, then and nobody, that's why we schedule these meetings. If it's on the agenda, but I think that we have to still conduct business. Members are out there waiting. We can't just say we're waiting for a full quorum of council. We're waiting. If there's a quorum of council and it's on the agenda and all the elected leaders have been duly notified, then you are expected to be here because it's an important issue. If you need to schedule a night meeting that's not related to your work hours, we can do that too. All I need to know is to hear from the council when they can be here. This is important business. The membership expect us to deal with this.
Chief, is there a policy in place if you miss like 3 or 4 meetings in a row?
Well, of course there is.
Well, then why are we not adhering to it?
Well, they haven't missed 3 or 4 meetings in a row.
Anyway, did the motion go through, Chief?
Well, I'm waiting to have a vote, but we need to stay on topic. There's a motion on the floor. Let's not wander off on other issues. Is anybody opposed to that issue to engage, to have a meeting with Deloitte, with the Bank of Montreal and the Department of Indian Affairs to explore other options? It's been moved and seconded. Is anybody opposed? Seeing none, the motion is carried. Next, thank you, Lisa. But I'm cognizant of the amount of work that the staff have, and if you pile more on them, then more is going to suffer, and I'm going to hear about it at this table. Why is this not getting done? Why is that not getting done? So are we going to meet our deadline for the end of October for our audit, 2024 audit?
No, Chief, we will not, because I reached out to the auditors, and today 11:30 I'm having a
Thanks,
meeting
Lisa.
with one of the manager, because the other manager has gone for maternity leave. I have not completed. We are still not completed bank reconciliation for General Bank. March, Amber is working on that, and there are so many other schedule. I completed OFNLP audit. I've given everything to the auditors. I'm working on the CMHC, the final stage. Only the financials
Okay, so
are left.
what is the new date we expect to have it done by?
Well, it depends on the turnaround time when the auditors come to do the field work as well, Chief. Once they come here 2 weeks to do the field work, then they take all the information and do all the control testing. Then they'll put out all the questions. Again, I will start doing,
Okay.
it's back and forth of.
Like what I'm talking about is the draft that you have to do the draft audit, and they only audit your report.
Yeah, but Chief, before that, they'll do control testing. They'll do payroll, banking, accounts receivable, accounts payable, mortgage, housing files, everything. They will come here for 2 weeks to do the testing first.
Okay, so when do we have a date from
Yes,
them?
I have already told them that they come on 7th to 2 weeks, from 7th to 7th of that week and 14th of the week. But the team
So
isn't
you're talking about
ready.
the 7th to the 14th of October?
Of October, yes.
Okay.
So I'm having a meeting today with them to schedule their visit for a field work. And once they are here at a field work for 2 weeks, they'll do all the control testing, and they'll take all the information, because they also reach out to HR department, all our areas, and then they'll review everything and then shoot out the questions.
So when you said the bank reconciliations were done, how long have they been done? Up to what point in time?
All bank accounts are done now. Only General Bank, which is our main account, February is done. Only March is getting done now.
Okay.
Yes. So there is, and not only banking is the area, there is so much cheap area, deferred revenue, which is the key area which I am looking into, then
So-
related party relationship. I have to also reach out to Belleville Affordable Housing to give their financials. I have not
So-
got their financials still.
Okay, so all goes well with this internal testing that the auditors have to do anyways, part of the auditing process. Then I guess would the end of December be a good date to look to have the other work up, the audit into the department?
I'm trying my best, but the consolidation of audit is a lot big
Okay,
package.
so Cecil, if you have any problems getting the information from these outside corporations, let me know.
Yeah, I'm copying you in most
And
of the
let's
emails
write them a
now.
letter and let them know that this is important. We get this information so we can complete our audit with a
Yes.
consolidated
Yes.
report.
Now I'm working on, Chief, we are having on 3rd the ISC lobby meeting. I have a package to kind of work on that as well. So it's so many other things that are just taking my attention, that kind of.
Okay, the council should pay attention to this because you are responsible to provide an audit to the department, so she's updating you.
This isn't on the agenda, so
Okay.
I
know,
haven't had
but-
the
But
opportunity
while
to
she was
become
here, I thought
aware.
I'd ask. Hey, thank you, Cecil.
And you do want me to reach out to Ian Smith and Steve Patrick? They are the key person who handles the BMO trust.
Yeah, please do that.
Okay.
Thanks, Cecil.
Thank you, Cecil. The next item on the agenda is the Ferry Lane servicing.
Do we want to take a little break for a sec?
We can. The next item on the agenda is the Ferry Lane contract award. The tender for the Ferry Lane servicing extension closed on December the 19th, 2023 at 2 p.m. with the following results. It's tendered. Gordon Bar Limited, $809,753.42. Scott Trudeau Construction Corp., $828,660.96. Build All Contractors, $979,106.70. The recommendation is to award the contract to Gordon Bar Limited totaling $809,753.42 and approve a final budget totaling $1,044,581.80 with ISC contributing the full amount of $1,044,581.83. And this is a result of the lobby. If
I'll
there had been no
motion.
lobby, there'd be no water extension.
I'll motion to
Moved by-
accept that.
Moved by Aaron.
I'll second that, Chief.
Question, Chief?
Yes, Chris?
Have they finished North Street? Is it almost back on schedule? Because it's gonna hold up the houses potentially.
Okay,
It can be houses, but
I believe that it is,
let's not guess at it. Let's ask the person that does the supervision of the day. Is Tom in?
yeah, no, I'm okay. It's a question. Yeah, I suppose.
I don't,
Chief.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
the only reason I know, I've just been asking Linda, that's all.
The issue with North Street is there has to be a pumping station. They have made an application for a grant at the water meeting that we attended in Deseronto. They stated they have not heard back from the funder yet. So they're waiting. What we'll have to do is call Brian Brooks to ask him for an update. We'll do that right now.
Yeah. On top of that, Chief, 2 weeks ago, Hydro was doing the main extension going back there, off of, the next street over, taking the new hydro down to that, because that had to be upgraded, so I believe that is done, to what I see.
Okay, let's find out from Brian. He can
So,
to give us proper.
That was a week
he'll
and a
know where
half ago,
things-
hydro was going back with bigger,
Why
more
did we
hydro.
Sorry, why did we proceed without having the pumping station upgraded included?
Because they didn't know that it had to be done until the town identified it had to be done.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
When these things are outside of our information,
Yeah,
we don't
yeah.
know.
Yeah, just ask them.
Just gonna find out.
You've reached the town of Deseronto. If you know the extension of the person. Good morning, the town of Deseronto, Morris speaking.
Hi, Maura. Is Brian there?
Brian, no, he's out right now.
Okay, would you happen to know the status of your application for the grant for the pumping station on North Street there?
I don't think we've heard anything yet.
Okay, if you could just ask Brian maybe to send me an email to give us an update. I know we discussed it when we had our water and sewer board meeting, and we're still waiting for, I guess, approval from the province.
Okay, and who am I speaking with, sorry?
Chief Don Merrick, Mohawk, Bay of Quinte.
Okay, I'll get him to give you a call. Your phone number is?
661. If he could just send me an email, he's got my email address.
Oh, email, okay.
Okay, that's great.
I'm gonna send you an email.
Thank you. Bye.
You're welcome.
Bye. They haven't heard back yet. Because we passed a resolution here at the council to support their application to get that work done. Chris?
Mm-hmm. Don't worry about it.
So they're still waiting for a decision from the funder.
Thank you.
And it's really, there's enough capacity to put it's been approved to go ahead with what we're proposing to put there with but the expansion, they're waiting, they have to increase you're going to build more volume, then the infrastructure has to be able to support that. They have made the application to the funder to be able to expand it. They're just waiting for approval. And that's in the town, so that's their project. So what we need an update, I need to get it from them because it's their project.
That was the same reason, Chief, for the upgrade of the hydro going back also?
Exactly.
So, and I believe that is,
Okay, so it's been moved by Aaron.
that's North Street.
Okay, it's been motion by Aaron and second by Chris Brandt to approve to proceed with the awarding the contract to Gordon Bar Limited in the amount of $809,753.42. And all the engineering and design and all that, it brings it up to $1,044,581.83. And Is anyone opposed to this motion? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion is carried. This is why it's so important to lobby, because there's millions of dollars you can bring into the community if you lobby.
But
It's
Chief,
not all formula based.
but I fail to see after that was the third meeting, why didn't they tell us that like in the second meeting? What, they were holding on.
Well,
I think they're holding out. myself.
It's because the regional office is overcommitted capital-wise for 2 to 3 years. And so if we are going to make a case that these are high priority issues with our council for our community, then the voice of the council needs to be heard there. And the same thing with the backlog of housing.
It was the same reason, Chief, is that whoever told them that they didn't fund fire halls, and I said, yes, they do.
Yeah. So anyhow, now, because of that, now they're looking at giving us some additional money for the fire hall. If there's any lapsing cap, some project doesn't go ahead at the year end, then they will help recover some of that money for the fire hall. And maybe we can put that loan to bed earlier than expected. That is because we go and lobby.
Number 8, is that where we're on?
Yep.
The other thing they provided was $350,750 to do the design of a 19-unit apartment building because we went to lobby. They're working on the other issues where there's deficits in existing programs and services to see if they can be covered. They're likely going to give us an update on some of it when we have the meeting on the 3rd. The next item is number 8, harvesting request for Logan DeMille. Logan Arthur DeMille has contacted the Mohawks of Bay Quinte and requested permission to harvest in our area in 2024. Logan DeMille is a member of the Nova Scotia Wampanoag First Nation. He is request for permission to hunt bear. In the year 2024, in the Tweed area, a copy of his status card and copy of PAL permission acquisition license card are attached to the briefing note. His status PAL card have not expired. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll approve that. I'll motion that.
I'll second, Chief.
Chris Brandt and Curtis Brandt.
Not that it is anything, but we have some members from here that have been going north of Thunder Bay to harvest moose in the past, and they have had letters of permission from First Nations in that area year after year after year. This year, I understand that a lot of the First Nations communities up there are not writing a letter of permission, but they grant permission for those for our members going up there. So, for example,
It's case by case.
yes,
It's not a blanket thing for anybody who's a member of the band. I have to write a letter to the chief in that area, either the chief, Wilfred King, granted permission for them to hunt in his traditional territory.
yeah,
And they have to, you can't go up north and just think that everywhere is traditional territory. You need to know what is the traditional territory of that First Nation you wrote to. So they have to take some initiative to find out where it is. It's just not anywhere, any place, anytime. And also they don't let you take as much as you want. There's a quota on what they let you take. Because
Well-
there's only so many moose in the forest. And so I think they allowed them each to have one moose.
oh yeah, yeah. Well, I know right now they've got
3?
yeah.
So the process is I write a letter to the chief of that community requesting for permission. We send them their PAL card and all that it's all up to date, their status card. I certify to that chief that is who they are.
Yeah.
And then he writes a letter granting permission to those
But that's
people.
but actually that the chief had said that he is not going to write a letter of permission for them. But if you get stopped by the ministry, you have them call us and we'll.
Well, again, I don't know about, because it's not based on phone calls or oral conversations. There's actually something.
Well,
the
they
pro-
said
the
that
proto-
they don't want to start doing the ministries work anymore. They're gonna go out, get away from the ministry's rules. They're gonna start doing things a traditional way.
Well, then if they're, okay, but anyway, I can just speak from the Chiefs of Ontario, what they put into place when Bob Ray was the Premier of Ontario.
Yeah.
They had a meeting up on Mount Mackay, and they again, the protocol was if one First Nation member was going to go in front in another area, that there would be a shipment letter, and that the chief of that community would send a letter to that other chief in that other community and get and seek permission and validate that person that's hunting there. So it's not people that are not even members of the band saying, well, I belong there, and you've got and you can call so and so and they can tell you. It doesn't work that way.
So is it, you said that you have to write a letter to the chief of that?
And I just let them know that
So
there's
why
a.
is the chief not here, not writing a letter?
He does. He sends a letter back.
Oh, okay, so so the chief is writing on behalf of Logan. So it's Logan himself asking
The
for
application.
permission.
This is for First Nations in Ontario, so they have to write a letter to the chief asking for permission to hunt in our traditional territory.
Yeah.
And so when our people go, if we're to go there, I would write a letter to them just to ask for permission on behalf of that member.
It's a process.
And so then they give you
Oh,
what's called a
that's
shipment letter.
Okay.
Then all you have to do is show the shipment letter to the M&R and they won't charge you.
Yeah.
If you don't show the shipment letter, there's a high likelihood you will get charged.
Business renewal?
Anyway.
They talked all about this in the caucus summit,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a-
You
harvesting
would
group.
enjoy it. It's really interesting.
Okay.
The like work they're doing. Well, that's why you're supposed to be on.
So if the traditional people are going to have that traditional system, they should be calling the longbows and deal with it, not here, once it becomes a problem. Because all I can account for is the letters I've written. Alcohol sales.
Oh, I think we're on number 9. Business
Oh, the
renewal.
business registration for Take Charge Ministries, Barry Miracle. It's consulting, coaching, and ministering leaders. The CP letter is attached, no other requirements. Does council approve this application?
Which one, chief?
Number 9,
Take charge.
Barry Miracle,
Ministries.
Taking Charge Ministries.
Taking charge of what?
Counseling on people's lives, I would presume. It's like what a minister does.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll
Teaching or
I'll move it,
something, I
chief.
guess, whatever it is.
I, Jonathan Miracle, have consent for Barry Miracle and Take Charge Ministry to have his ministry at the office of Broken Walls at 234 Bayshore Road, Tyendinaga, Mohawk Territory.
I'll second.
Who's moving?
Chris did.
Chris Miracle and Aaron. Okay, the Ganawagi diabetes prevention.
We should
No,
be on the
number
alcohol sales now.
Oh, alcohol sales. Oh, sorry. So we need a motion for alcohol sales, John Akey, the Smoke Depot. That's on Lower Slash Road. Does council approve?
His
Question, chief?
Yes.
Have we shown due diligence that every possible insurance is in place for these people that are going to be operating alcohol
Well,
sales?
that's what the motion said. No, actually, I don't, was that part of the motion or not? Can you call back that motion, Shelley? I know I did suggest it.
Yeah, I think you did, Chief.
They have, what the motion was, they had to comply with all the laws of the province.
Yeah, but it had to be proof that they had the insurance in their business, whatever it was.
This
I
is
think,
our-
I think we did say that.
I recall that was taken out.
Oh, was it?
Registered business on the baseline, and they have to comply with all provincial regulations.
And the question was, does the provincial regulation require them to have insurance? I suggested that, and then it went round and round and round, and what I recall is it wasn't kept in there.
I thought it was in there too. but-
Yeah, I don't remember anybody taking it out, chief.
I think this is just
You-
for
you did
the, so they
application?
can do the application, right? Because he would have to do the application, and then it's up to them to decide if, yeah,
Okay,
you meet the
bring Lisa in, she'll
qualifications.
know.
Or-
But I do know, I highly recommend that,
Diane.
but they're supposed to have liability insurance.
Yeah, I'd like to see, yeah, we did talk about that, about them having
Okay,
all of the, going through the rules and regulations. But how do we know if they've actually met the rules and
Okay,
regulations?
what I recall is when, in the
Provide.
These guys, they would have to provide it, yeah.
what I recall in the
If they didn't
discussion,
do that, and they didn't show that, they couldn't buy. So they can't get it.
Okay, so does he show it?
No, I'm just saying that's what they'd have to do.
Like, you wouldn't be able to buy the, like,
No,
he could go to the LCBO like anybody else and just sell it
then
that way,
you're,
but if he's going through the processes,
ruling
then
it.
he would have to have all the things.
Yeah.
you can go to the LCBO as long as you have a special occasions permit that you paid for, you can buy it. There's nothing that says you have to have insurance. And so that's why I recommended that insurance be part of this process. But what I recall is the council seemed to be quite comfortable with just the provincial regulation. And that's why that motion got worded the way it was.
Yeah, I was just, why would there,
Well-
why would we want, separate,
Well,
separate
okay.
insurance?
Okay,
against-
well, for example, if they had clerks working there, alcohol got sold to minors, they became intoxicated, they had a car accident with it, the lawyer representing that family would reach out and then bring everybody into a lawsuit, and especially if they didn't have to have insurance to sell it. It protects the owner that's running that business and then from reaching back into the bank, because a lawyer will cast a pretty broad net. An example of that, Chris, a few years ago when the Robbins, I think was their name, the Robbins family, they got hit down on 49 highway by a drunk driver. We got brought into a lawsuit because they said the police failed to patrol the highway properly for drunk drivers. And the insurance company paid a
Diana?
small amount, but they still brought
Diana?
us into a lawsuit. That's why we have to have insurance. Who's coming? Is Diane here?
she does,
There's no insurance required. That's why we specified it be in there that insurance had to be in place. And I recall it went round and round and round, and in the end, the council was comfortable with just the provincial. We didn't know.
That's making a big assumption that the province would require that stuff. You
I
should
doubt
know.
it.
I would think they would need
It,
it.
it,
Well, we
it,
should know.
it's I don't doubt it. It would be the owner's responsibility to have insurance and people that are issue any part of the approval process.
Unless the province said, we're the authority to have the jurisdiction whenever we required, and if we didn't require it, then we're on the hook, something go sideways. We're on the
A
hook.
lawyer will cast a broad net, and
See,
so
what they would, I would guess that they would probably argue that we are federal lands here and that provincial whatever they decide would, it is null and void kind of thing. That's what I would think.
once
As an
again,
argument.
it might have been advisable for selling of alcohol to get a legal opinion on all this stuff, what should be in place. I did suggest that it would be mandatory for them to provide insurance in case something went south.
Motion, chief, defer till we get clarity that that's in place.
I'll second.
I can tell you insurance is
Well,
not part of it because I recommended it and council then was quite comfortable with just the provincial process. Chris,
Getting a legal motion on having
No,
proof that they've got liability insurance.
Wait. We're getting a legal opinion?
no,
We're just deferring this until we have more information about this insurance thing.
we're deferring it until we get
Deferring, sorry.
clarity that the insurance, personal liability, et cetera, is all in place. That somewhat indemnifies us somewhat, but we're deferring until we get proof
But
of.
we didn't think of that whenever.
Yes, we did, we did. Yes, we
I
did.
brought it up and I wasn't listened to.
We did ask for, if you're thinking about free flow, yes, we did ask, and they sent it to Diana.
It used to be
That one-
everybody.
That one was done, but we don't know about this one.
It used to be that everybody got a business registration from council and had to have liability insurance, everybody. Then you started making exceptions, and now it's not this one, no insurance is required.
We didn't make a section.
It is what happened, Chris, the minutes will bear it out.
Okay, well, we're-
Anyway,
now
let's
we're
defer
listening to you,
this.
Chief.
Let's defer and move
Thank
on.
you.
Okay, I'm just correct. I didn't mean to continue.
So defer it, write a letter to the Ontario liquor licensing place to find out if, with this premises, does their law require insurance to be in place? And if it doesn't, then does this company have liability insurance, and we should be named as a co-insured on their policy? You should talk to the insurance people.
I don't think that's what we did for the last ones, and we've already approved some.
Because all it's doing is making it legal for them to sell alcohol, but the insurance issue is an entirely separate issue.
Mhm.
Well, let's
So I'm
defer it
just,
for now.
but all I'm saying, Chief, is the last one, what we did was we asked if they had to have special insurance to sell alcohol, and that was free flow, and they said there's a different clause that was going on to their insurance. And then we needed proof of that,
Yeah,
and we
and-
did have proof of that.
and so we-
And Diana's got that, but this guy here, you don't know. So,
It's not part of the package.
yeah.
There's no
whatever.
information. Yeah.
So,
That's, because it's
Okay,
very
we
important.
deferred it?
Very
Yeah, we
important-
deferred, we motioned.
Okay.
Motion's carried.
You're on 11. I think your
I
check
am.
mark's that away from you.
The Kingston, pardon me, the Gunnawagi Diabetes Project, the recommendation, please see the MOU, Gunnawagi School Diabetes Prevention Program for community 2C, C2C project. And the recommendation is council approve participation in the C2C team grant and sign the MOU and C2C research team. Does council approve? We've been involved in this for years.
Yep, I'll motion.
I'll second.
Ms. Miracle. Let's see, approved.
Carol, is there something going on at the library?
Yeah, they're having a
Up and down?
tea this afternoon at 1.
It's not at noon?
No, it's at 1.
At work?
They're having a tea with CBC. I don't want to say for sure off, but
But isn't there a MVP or something coming to make an announcement? Are they getting funding or something?
I haven't heard that part.
I don't know anything about it.
I just had a text saying that, but someone thought it was at noon.
No, she just messaged me and said it's at 1 if we are
So
done
they
in time.
messaged you?
Yep.
At a
1 to
tea,
2.
So they're having a tea and that's for an announcement?
I don't know. I didn't recall an announcement. I think it's because it's library week
Don't
and they're
have them
having
walk into my office for a media statement for something I haven't been briefed on, because I won't be giving one.
Me neither, Chief. I don't know what to tell you. I'm just going around and I text.
That's gonna stop.
Anyway, it's at 1.
Get organized with your stuff. Too many last minute stuff.
We're on 11.
Because
Now
the
we're
media
on
statement,
12.
nobody briefed me on it, so I'm not prepared to give a media statement at this time. I need to be briefed on by the staff.
Anyway,
Shelley,
12?
do you know anything about something going on at the library today at 1 o'clock that is council invited to it? I don't know anything about it. Okay.
it was just shared on the Facebook and stuff.
Facebook.
Yeah.
I'm not
Because
on
it's
Facebook.
library week, I believe.
I'm not on Facebook.
No, there wasn't.
Okay, then that's their event.
Head Start.
I know, I'll just read it here. Number 12. The Head Start program provides critical early childhood education and family services to high-risk families. Recent assessments indicate the high-risk families in our program require additional support to address complex needs and ensure successful outcomes. The council approved the addition to the enhancement worker to the organizational structure at THS.
I'll motion.
Moved by Aaron
I'll second, Chief.
and Curtis. Anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion's carried. The legal invoices. So on October, JFK Law invoice $825.50 for a cease and desist issue.
I'll motion.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second that, Chief.
Okay, there was a motion that the audit findings have to be, all of council be present, so all of council is not present today, so we will have to make a motion to defer this. Or do you want to review the audit findings in the absence of? Really, something as critical as this, all of council should be here.
Okay, then motion to defer.
Yeah, I'll second the motion to defer.
On the diabetes project, it was moved by, Shelley, when you were out, just hold on.
It was motion by Aaron.
Yeah, Aaron and second by Chris Miracle. Chris Miracle. And the motion was carried. So it's been moved by Aaron to defer the meeting for the audit management letter. Who will second it?
I seconded it already.
Chris Brandt. Just give me a minute because I have to update this here, schedule here as well. So I'm trying to write this. So the Canada-Ontario Resource Development Agreement, CORDA, the application process for 2025 and 2026. The window for application closes on October the 7th at 11:59 p.m. Proposing an application to plant 126 sugar maples at the Bayshore Road Park and powwow grounds to replace the 42 dead trees, the 42 dead ash trees that were previously removed, and the quote from Cannon Nurseries for $22,050. BBQ and replanting event estimate $2,500 for total application amount of $24,550. Approve the application by Mohawk Council resolution to submit an application to CORDA to plant 126 maple sugar trees at the Bayshore Road Park and powwow grounds with a total project budget of $24,550. That includes $22,050 from CORDA and $2,500 for MBQ. And so this has been recommended by Tom, and presumably this won't interfere with the grass cutting there.
Chief, sorry.
It's just a question about why, if we're, okay, you said there was a small number, how many trees were removed?
42.
42, but you were gonna turn, 126 in? I think that's a little,
Well, I imagine they
Overkill?
won't all survive.
well, that
But
they
we can
don't,
ask why.
But, is that not gonna take up a lot of vendors? Because the powwow actually grew a substantial amount in vendors, and it was a big powwow this year.
Why don't we ask Tom?
Well, it might have to go around the parameter of the powwow grounds. I don't know where you plant 120-60, but if you
That-
start putting it in the park, it might be interfere with other uses. So you have to make sure it doesn't do that. Chris?
Couple questions. Why did we not apply for the dock replacements we just approved? Submit those invoices to get reimbursed. And two,
I don't think we can get reimbursed after the
Well, we don't tell them that. But anyways, I don't like sole sourcing all the time, 22,000. Conan nurseries are incredibly expensive. Are we getting seedlings? Are we getting 10-foot? Are we getting bare root? Are we getting burlap ball? You know, you might be getting taken
Okay.
to the cleaners if you don't know what you're talking about when you just say 22,000.
Okay,
for some
anyway,
trees.
there's a deadline of October the 7th, and if you go send in the application, you're out of luck. On the 8th, you're out of luck, so there's less than a week,
Okay.
they're a week away.
So as I was saying, chief, conditional approval, you get approval, and then in-house you say, okay, Conan, what were you proposing to give us?
Well,
Feelings, or were you proposing
Okay,
this?
this is not,
And then get
this is,
competitive bidding once you get approval.
this is not awarding the contract, Chris. This is simply sending, it's a quarter application to get money.
I know, but if I say motion to approve, and then we get 125 seedlings that you get for free somewhere, on a worst case scenario, and then you say, well, why did you approve it, Chris? So I'm saying approval in principle, but then competitive bidding, and then you specify, I want 5 foot, or I
Okay,
want 10 foot, not what someone's
there
gonna give me.
There would have to be a different motion than to approve.
Can we ask Tommy to come in and just give us some clarity?
Yeah, all he did is he got some quotes.
Got one
Because-
quote from Conan, most
Okay,
expensive place in town.
but all Corda is asked, we are not committing to Corda who we're going to hire. We're saying we got quotes to substantiate the amount of money we're asking for. This is simply to establish that $22,550 is what the budget is based on quotes that have been, it's not saying that.
And that's what I'm saying, though, chief, you turn
But-
around, take the 22,000,
will-
you get it, and then have a competitive bid price, and you specify what you're getting.
Okay, then that would be a separate motion then. But this, it's just, the motion would be to submit a quarter application for $24,550 to plant trees.
You want 2 motions then?
And then the second motion
Can
will be
we-
that when, if quarter is approved, there has to be a tender.
Can we just ask, like maybe Tommy has that information and it will
We
help?
still need second quotes.
Yeah, well, maybe he got some and didn't put them in. I don't know. Maybe we can just ask him.
Can
if
we
he's here.
We have till
Bring Tom in,
we have a
please.
deadline till this October the 7th for asking for this money. So, you know, I mean, it's not a bad thing
Tuesday, Wednesday?
putting in, and he's got one quote just to satisfy the lending of, or the giving of the money. It's, yeah, I mean, that's
Corda
what I
doesn't,
see.
Corda is not going to involve itself in the internal administrative process of the Mohawks of the Bay of Quinte to decide who we're going to get to contract. We don't have to identify. What we had to do is he obtained quotes to say this is a good number.
Nobody said that. What we said was, we give conditional approval, but then if you get approval, then
Because-
in-house, we say, okay.
Okay, but
want
we don't let
competitive
Corda,
bidding.
we don't tell that
Agreed.
Corda, always, all the Corda needs is that we support this application to plant trees. That's all they need to know.
That's what he said the first time.
And then after we can go with anybody we want.
We get the best deal,
What else?
and we don't have to plant 124 trees, but if we put in for that many, and they give us some money.
Maybe we can
okay,
put them
Put 'em somewhere else.
Then maybe they do a line between, because the only place that I could see them using that many trees is from this past powwow, the whole grounds was being used for parking and vendors. There was no room for anything else. With that many trees being planted, something's gotta go, which is the parking. So that means there's more people along the road.
And I'm not so sure they're gonna grow in the shade with all the big oaks.
I actually had, as far as this, so maybe we're going a little bit off a topic, but there is actually, you know, the roadway that comes down behind the church to the powwow grounds.
It's a pathway, it's not a
That,
roadway.
well, actually, it's a pathway, but it's big enough for our full-size pickup trucks to go through.
Actually, there's really no motorized vehicles on that road.
Anyway,
on that path.
there is parking.
They're
There is a
destroying it.
big field there that could be used on, and it was suggested by, one of the powwow committee members that why can we not clear that field, like, whether it's with just a brush hog in there to cut the grass down, to allow parking
Okay.
in there instead of parking on the road.
Okay,
And
and
it was
Chris,
just
you know, a
brought
few
to my
years
attention.
ago, I wanted the council to buy Charles Green's property. There would be plenty of parking in that field, a roadway there. to walk over to the powwow grounds, or I preferred to have the long-term care home there instead of where it is now, but the staff and council decided that was a better place where it's being built now. But anyway, I still think we should consider buying Charles Green's property, because as I said, the traffic was
Motion.
on both sides of the road.
Motion,
Whether or not he'll sell it to us now or not, I don't know. That was a year ago, because everybody,
I thought we were negotiating with them,
Oh.
Tommy might even know that.
I don't know where that property is myself, so.
Who, Charles?
is it good afternoon or good morning? Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Tom. So, and a question has arisen, I guess,
Right, you go up.
Chris wants to know that, ensure that this year, with the maple tree planting is going to be tendered? Is that what will happen? Because Corda doesn't care who we contract to wheel the trees. Are these quotes simply to let Corda know this is a good number?
This is quotes just to purchase the trees, not plant.
so
Okay.
what did they quote you for? 124?
126 sugar maples.
And how big?
They don't measure in height, but they are 35 millimeter in diameter.
So, what is
Just
that?
2
under
feet
an inch
high?
and a half.
Inch and a half?
Just,
So,
just under,
Are they bare root or are they bald? Burlap?
in your breast.
Okay, Chris?
Just a question about, there was, you have 42 dead ash trees that were removed, whatever. Where are you gonna put 126? Like, I'm just thinking of the powwow where we have, a lot of those parking, and the numbers of vendors went skyrocket this past summer. And it was a great powwow. It was a big powwow. Where would you plant that many trees? Like where?
And so the reason why you go 3 to 1 is because not all of them will survive.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So at some point, they'll have to be monitored and.
Watered.
You may have to cut some of the ones that, you may have to thin it down, right? Because like you said, you don't have a room for 126.
No.
But you don't want to plant 42 and then only 20 survive.
So
Okay.
would we plant them around the parameter to not take up vendor space, or?
We could work with the
Powwow committee?
powwow committee between the powwow committee and environment. I'm
And-
just doing the application,
Yeah, to get
environment's
the money.
leading the
Just to
replanting
And if
of
we
it.
wanted to plant some other places, would we allow to do that as well?
I could ask.
Okay. This field over here behind the police station, what's that going to be used for?
I don't have any knowledge.
Could we
of that
plant
source.
some maple trees maybe around the parameter, like near the fence line?
We can, absolutely.
So if we put the quote in with this quote from Conan Nurseries, is there anything saying that we can't use a different vendor if there's a better quote, like later on?
Not that I'm aware of. I can go and, we can source multiple.
So anyway, so
quotes for
there's going to,
trees.
what I suggest there be to satisfy council is there be a motion to approve the court application to plant 126 trees, maple trees. And then there'd be a separate motion that if council wants it tendered, to have it tendered.
We wouldn't tender, we just go get 3 quotes, right?
Yeah, 3 quotes, because the plan is to have it be like an Earth Day
Yeah,
celebration
because
and have everybody
what's
help.
the rule for tender,
plant.
under what?
So what's on the table right now is just the application.
The application
Yeah.
according to what I said.
I'll motion,
I'll second.
yeah. Okay, because I was thinking about, oh, geez, that's a lot of trees for a small area. But and taking into account too, the possibility of a new arbor or so you want to keep that whole area still wide open.
All right, so now Chris wants it tendered to the,
Well, how many quotes were received?
or
Just
closed.
this one.
So you already reached out to people who supply, and this is all you received, right, Todd? Tom?
I reached out to these because they priced the last application that we did.
Okay. So do you know other nurseries that you'd like him to look into, Chris?
I would strongly suggest you compare apples to apples.
So do you know any other nurseries
There's,
that you'd
there's
like
a
him to contact?
million nurseries
we
out
can get
there, but you
multiple.
want to, when you're.
For
Generally, we
apples.
would do that after the application, so that we're
Listen to what
not.
he's saying, please. Listen to each other. Okay, Chris?
When you put your tender out there, you want to specify, do I want 5 feet, 6 feet? Do I want it bare root or bald? There's a world of difference. They grow differently. And I would have liked to seen an application for the arbor as opposed to these trees, but anyways.
With the arbor is with the powwow committee.
Either or, I just don't see this as a priority.
If we submitted it and we already did approval and stuff, we can't go back and get that covered, right?
Because it's already done. The project's already finished.
Right, and I'm just saying, in the future, we should have more than a few days to have a decision as opposed to,
Okay.
this is what you can apply for and only this.
Okay, what the
You can apply
reason,
for whatever you want. I just don't know if you're gonna get the application done.
okay,
There was was that for something different? You had a list of things that potentially could go, oh no, that's for something else, right? Later down the road.
so we've already awarded the Ferry Lane dock already. It's on today's agenda, so that was, and some of that work has been done already. And so we can't apply after we've awarded the contract.
Okay.
Right, Tom?
Correct.
So if we would have waited, we could have applied for quota for the ferry dock, but because we didn't wait, we can't. Now we have to go to another project that's not yet approved or completed. So anyway, what do you want done, Chris? Would you like Tom to do? He's quite willing to do whatever you want
Yes,
to
yeah.
do. Just
So if
get-
it's two motions required, I think we had a motion to approve.
So you
And
want more?
second-
so
Then
you-
the second motion would be competitive bid process if you're successful.
Okay,
For the, and just to be clear, this is for the purchase, right? Not for the planning.
Just like 3 quotes for the
nursery.
or whatever the
what-
policy
He
says.
wants more details from the nursery. Is it,
I want second quotes, chief.
and second
For-
other
For the
quotes?
planning, though, or for the purchase, right? This isn't for planting.
Yeah, that's right. It's for the purchase.
Environment's gonna be working with the community event for the planting.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, it's moved then to get the additional information that Chris is, and just itemize what it is.
No, just a motion to have competitive bidding. if you're
Competitive bidding
successful.
for the nurseries.
Is it a
For
bid
whoever
though, or is it a
supplies.
quote? Is
I would do it as a quote.
Because
yeah,
this one we would
we
just be
could send it
seeing
out as a
the
tender.
quotes, right?
Okay, he wants tendering, so they'll tender.
But would it
Sure.
make more sense to do quotes for this? Like to search up more quotes?
But he doesn't, oh, that's what I want, but he doesn't have time because it's closing.
We
No, no, I
absolutely-
mean after.
We absolutely. have
After he
time.
has
We
time.
use
he
this
said.
quote as your budget.
Just one topic at a time, please.
Apples to apples.
But is bidding different than quotes?
Same thing, just as long as it's competitive. You know, you say, I want this, because if I just say, give me a tree.
Yep. So
maybe-
we're okay with it saying quotes, like he gets more quotes?
So I would take it,
Okay.
these are seedlings.
And we'll find out what they are after.
No, you pay.
No, they're gonna be like this
Okay,
in diameter,
so
so.
they're fairly mature trees.
Yeah. Similar probably in size to what we purchased for the landscaping here.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit shorter.
So,
So what Tom
That's 3 inch and a half.
Like,
That's
see-
probably
This is the
between 4
number
and 6
that
foot.
we
That's
use to put
something
into
probably.
an
If it's that
application,
big around.
right?
I can get more.
No,
probably
this is the
more.
number that we're putting in for the application, but we can still do the competitive process.
Yeah,
If this is approved.
Yes.
Is that
Yeah.
good enough for what you're trying to say?
okay,
Chris?
Chris, I
Yes.
think he's asked for tendering.
That's, he wants a competitive process.
Okay,
And what I'm saying though is, Tommy just got this, so we could have a number to submit in the application.
yeah, that's all,
We can
it's-
still do the competitive
that
process.
that is exactly what I said in the
And
beginning.
that's what I'm just clarifying and making sure that
Yeah.
that's what's wanted.
Perfect, let's just get this application done.
Okay, all in favor of the court of submitting the court application?
Aye.
We've already made the
Good,
motion.
done, the motion's carried. Now, the administrative process should not be dictated at council. You have rules and regulations that of when things have to be tendered, right? And what's the rule? Anything under what? $5,000? Doesn't have to be tendered, right? So this is $22,000, so it would have to be tendered, is that correct?
I guess so. I've just never seen MBQ ever do a tender for purchasing stuff.
Angela, what's the tendering rule? I forget what it is.
I'll ask around to see if I can get a template, but
'Cause this is
when we
all
buy vehicles, we
administrative, and I
don't
forget
do
what
a
it
tender.
is.
We go and we get prices.
Like a quote.
But I'll ask around and get a template for it.
No, that's right.
Because some of it, you just have to get quotes, and some of you have to tender under the tendering rules.
So
That
this
would
we
be
would just
every
get
vehicle,
quotes,
but
right?
sure.
Okay, motion then, to satisfy Chris's concern, let's just have a competitive bidding through a tendering process. Is that your motion, Chris?
How about just adhere to our old policy where we used to tender things? We just got a complaint again, and you heard the contractor come here to
Yeah, but I don't know-
a litany of issues where we're never
Okay,
tendered.
okay, but
I
before,
shouldn't have to justify tendering.
okay, before I jump to that conclusion, I want to make sure that this is in violation of the rule, maybe it's not.
I've never seen us tender for a purchase of, like, when we purchase stuff. This is a purchase.
Never tendered for
Like,
purchase.
you can ask.
I'm just saying, I've never seen it. I've never seen it. I'll ask around and see if I can get a template, or I'll get something out, I guess.
So Angela, can you make sure that all of the tendering,
My experience has been construction.
okay, but if there's in the administrative financial policy, if there's a tendering rule, then just circulate it to the managers and directors so they are aware of what it is.
Yes.
Just the chapter and verse that relates to that, then just follow that.
Or in the finance policy, yes.
Okay, because Tom said he's never seen it.
I've never seen MBQ. Do we tender vehicles when we buy them? Do we put out a tender document when we buy vehicles? Do we put out a tender vehicle when we buy desks and chairs?
We asked several.
You get quotes, exactly, which is what we're proposing.
Yeah. I agree with that.
I agree with that as
100%.
well.
I agree. And not a tender, you don't tender, you tender it to have them put into place. You don't tender to buy them. Just-
I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying I have.
It's
I'm involved with construction.
That's something so small. That's, as far as I'm concerned, that's something that's.
Okay, right. Tom is quite willing to do whatever council wants him to do. He's made that clear a number of times. If you want him to do something, let's make a motion. And Chris has made a motion on the floor. The motion was to tender or ensure a competitive process or make sure that the tendering rules of the band are followed. It's as simple as that.
Is that on the installment?
Yeah.
It's per
It's not
policy.
on the binding
It's per
trees.
policy.
No, it would be.
The problem is our
But
policy is
it is
super
about buying.
outdated and
We're-
it's no longer
I'm
relevant.
just looking at this.
That's the
top
problem.
Thing here, and they're called quotes. They're not called tendering.
Right. At the end of the day, from the made tomorrow, just a competitive, that's.
Okay, but the tendering
transparency,
policy.
Accountability.
The
We don't have a
tendering
tendering
policy would be, may allow quotes. Let's make sure, because it's been a while, I don't deal with the day-to-day administration of this stuff. And it's really important, the director of operations and the CRO are supposed to educate the directors what the policy is, and then they follow it. We are getting involved in the administrative process here, and that's not the role of the council.
No, you're also here to provide oversight,
Yeah. Okay, and so there's a motion on the floor. Is there a seconder for that motion? Is there a seconder for Chris's motion? Is to ensure the tendering policy or competitive bid process is followed according to our own financial
It shouldn't
policy.
be a motion, it just should be a given, that's our policy, that's our practice.
Okay,
That's
but
what
because
it's
it's come up at council, I'd like a motion of council to ensure. So if people are aware and staff are aware what the expectations of council are. It's got quotes. Is there a seconder for Chris's motion?
It's just to maintain policy, chief, maintain policy.
Okay, then,
It's a
then,
redundant
then we
statement.
don't need a motion because there's already rules in place.
Yeah.
So
I agree
Tom,
with
just
that.
check with Angela what it is and follow it.
$1,500.
And I'm not,
sole
and I'm
source,
not
up to
saying you're not
5,000
following, you are,
tender.
I don't just know, I don't
Anything
deal with that
between
day to day, and I don't
1,500
recall what
and
it is.
5,000, you have to receive 3 quotes. It's not a tendering policy, it's provision underneath our procurement policy or our finance policy. I'm aware of it, chief. The problem is it's completely outdated and irrelevant and not really for this.
It needs
piece of what we're
updating, so
doing.
then let's get
I
on
don't
with
care,
updating
I
the
will
policy,
tender it, just move on.
let's update the policy then.
On Cecil's list when she gets through the audits.
Yeah, because the costs have gone up considerably to what they were.
My
when
signing
the policy was
authority is
made.
more than, which would allow then theoretically to sole source up to 2,500, but your policy still says 15. $5,000 for tenders, we'll tender everything else. I will do literally 2 tenders every day. But if that's. what we
That's
want,
creating a lot of
let's
administrative work.
proceed.
There's
And slows
not a
down things
motion
down.
for that.
The
Or is
motion
that?
doesn't
Anyway.
follow policy, which would, that would be it. So every
Anyway,
time
the
we
motion
purchase
is to
anything,
submit
or
the
do anything
quarter
over 5,000
application.
Would require a tender, which would require sitting down, putting a package.
Did anybody
advertising
second
it
that?
for 3 to 4 weeks.
It's
No.
been moved by Chris and seconded by Aaron to submit the quarter application. That motion is carried.
That's what
No one has seconded Chris's motion
It's
to.
not needed, chief. It's redundant. It's just redundant.
Okay.
Can we just move on?
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, Tom, for coming in.
Yeah, you got 3 or 4 more items there, chief.
I just saw. Yeah, so the First Nations Housing Professional Association has requested to rent space in the Tyendinaga to host their Enhancing First Nations Housing Relationship Workshop. The recommendation is to approve MBQ to rent the fire hall for the First Nations Housing Professional Association workshop, and the housing director to provide a tour of MBQ's current and recent projects. So you checked this all out with Scott and it's all available and all good? Is there a motion to approve?
I'll motion.
I'll second, chief.
The motion is carried. That's the green light there. The Green Inclusive Building Fund application. Application for window for a third round of funding under the Green Inclusive Building Fund program is open until October the 14th, 2025. MBQ is tender ready for a new emergency shelter project that meets all of the GICB program requirements. The recommendation is to approve and submit an application to the Green Inclusive Community Build program for the planned new emergency shelter project, including a total project budget of $10,685,012.25 and a contribution of $1 million from the Mohawk Survey of Quinte. Now, I see that it has got the director's approval on it, the finance approval on, and the CAO's approval on this recommendation. Is there a motion to approve this application, or do we need discussion?
I'll motion.
It's been moved by Aaron to submit the application. Is there a seconder?
I'll second that.
Question, Todd. Tom, is this going to be a men's shelter or women's shelter?
Women's domestic violence.
And then the old shelter will be what?
We'll convert it over, I would recommend family, but those conversations, I guess, can happen in conjunction with Susan's team.
So if you could just bring back the plan, what the old shelter is going to be used for? Because, and how much, so I guess for the $1 million share, is there any other source of funding for the MBQ's $1 million share?
So we've asked, well, that was to have skin in the game and make your application stronger. But you've also signed a letter to us asking them for a contribution.
Yeah, we've asked, that's part of our lobby, okay, is to
Plus,
ask them for a
we've sent- yeah,
contribution to the
we've
shelter. We
sent
sent that letter to
They just
Michael
haven't
O'Byrne.
responded yet.
Yeah, Michael O'Byrne hasn't responded yet, but is there, I guess because it's a women's shelter, we get the funding to run that. That's, I think it's through AIAI yet. So I guess they get their money, I think it's from the Ministry of Community and Social Services. We should be writing a letter to the minister to ask them if there's any additional funding for the shelter. Create this shelter to offset the band's $1 million share problem. It's been moved and seconded. Is anybody opposed?
I'm in support. You have a couple of questions though.
Go ahead, Chris.
So this is net zero ready. Ballpark, just ballpark. What's the difference between net zero ready and just net?
It's actually designed net zero.
Right.
Net
Okay.
zero. So
So
the
that
bulk of the
means-
difference is
Listen to
having
each other.
the green energy that would offset. So the solar panels,
Couple million, maybe?
probably about 30%.
Okay, and the second question, now, does this impact the next item, which is the recreation center?
No,
No, it's a different stream?
Yeah.
And then.
different pot, yep.
Okay, so then FNTI had asked us to support their submission for a new building of some kind. And the question came up then, if we supported their submission, which might be the same fund, will MBQ or TMC have to decide what our priorities are?
We'll have to decide what our priority is if we put multiple applications, but their application is underneath their organization. Same thing when during the first round, when we were approved by the long-term, we submitted for long-term care and arena and TTO, we supported TTO's project for the school. We also, I believe, supported FNTI's hangar. We were approved for the long-term care, TTO was approved for the school, and the other applications weren't approved. But in that process, we had to determine what was our priority, the long-term care or the arena. And the long-term care went forward.
Thank you.
Okay. So I guess any other questions? If not, seeing no other objections, the motion is carried. Next item. Green light there. The new recreation complex. Application for the CSRIF. Now, what's that acronym?
Community
this
Sport
really
and
using
Recreation
real?
Investment Fund.
What is it?
Community Sport and Recreation Investment Fund.
Is this from Green Inclusive Build or not?
No, I believe it's under the
CSRIF.
province.
It's province.
Yeah.
Okay. For a new build, Signature New Builds has opened and closes on March 31st, 2025, or until the funding has been allocated. Option 1 was to approve to proceed with the indoor pool and or lacrosse hockey rink. Number 2 is to approve and move forward with the previously awarded arena committee and have them review the previous arena conceptual floor plan and elevation and work with MBQ staff for a recommendation for the next steps. So what do?
So the first recommendation.
So 1
is
and
to
2
approve
is
without-
all option 1, is that correct, or is there 2 options there?
Option 1 is to proceed without the pool or the lacrosse back. So when we did the feedback, there was comments that we received with interest for having either a lacrosse rink or lacrosse / hockey rink. There was also interest for a community pool.
I talked to so many people through the community, and more people are leaning towards a pool. And but I mean, yeah, a hockey rink or a lacrosse box combined. You could use, a hockey rink in the winter time. But that's a very, very, very big run expense.
Even the pools estimated to add about another
But
$7
the
million.
pool is all year round. Sure, arena can do too, but it's more expensive than a pool would be. But like the pool, okay, a hockey rink caters to everybody, kids and adults, but a pool
Okay.
caters to the kids, adults, and the elders.
Okay, so has the Recreation Committee reviewed this, or what are they
They've
recommending?
been provided, but they haven't had quorum in the last 2 meetings, so I need to move forward at some point.
And so what's the deadline for this application?
That one's March 25th. But we also have to close up and finish the feasibility and planning that we're doing. That's going to form our
So
application.
the recreation complex can't have both, is that correct? It has to have one or the other?
It can, but right now your estimate, your project budget is estimated at like 27 million. So a pool's probably an extra 7 million. The rink, I don't have an extra price, but when we had a conceptual planning for a rink, the fitness center and a gym, and that was before COVID, and it was 35 million. So
Okay,
you're probably looking
so
somewhere around
with
70
regard to
million now.
the lacrosse
also-
box, that
What's
we, the lacrosse box that we already have, was, I've heard, close it in, and I've heard don't close it in. Which is it? So can that not continue to be the lacrosse box?
Yep,
there
it's,
something
my
wrong
opinion would
with-
be to have both. You want that free to air use so that people can just go out and enjoy it without it being closed. Once
So
you
I
have
guess-
an
so
arena
what- I
type or a
guess-
closed
so what-
facility, it's gonna be locked at certain
Okay,
parts.
so with this plan with the lacrosse box, it was to have it all indoors then?
This plan that we're proposing is a gym, a fitness center,
And to play lacrosse
track.
inside?
kitchen, a walking track. It's got administrative space, it's got commercial space to help pay for the O&M.
So
So the recommendation is to proceed as it's been proposed and we look at the swimming community pool and we look at the arena slash lacrosse rink as a separate project, as separate projects.
So they would be.
Rather than making the community decide you get one or the other, we proceed with the planning for all of them. And a lot of the comments for the pool was from seniors or a therapy style. So if that's the case, my recommendation is to do more feasibility on it, see what the actual want need is. If it is directed mainly for seniors, we're planning a subdivision that's going to be between the existing subdivision and the long-term care that would have space for 2 elders lodges and space for the senior activity center. We could, if it's a therapy pool for seniors, we could put it there, but the community kids would still be able to use it. You'd be able to there, they'd
pools,
be able
I
to
guess you want to make
integrate
sure we
with the
put it there
seniors
that-
so you don't have senior isolation.
You want to make sure that people are going to use it, because you don't want it to be built where we have the same problem we have with the fitness.
But right now, all I'm proposing is
using
that you take the interest that the community has provided and we start looking at the feasibility of it. What's the cost? Where could it go? Is it something that is actually wanted? Is it something that is needed? Where would we get the
And
money
how
for?
broad have these community consultations been with the community to see what their priorities are? Because
So those comments came out of when we were presenting the recreation facility.
And you did
I've
a
seen that
meeting and then.
We did a
also
meeting at the
online too,
community
right?
center and then we also did one online.
okay,
Was there a size problem with the lacrosse box that's there now? Like, was it too big or too small or too long
You
or too
could
wide
go
or
bigger, you
something?
could go smaller. The problem is that you're not saving much money by closing it in, right?
Oh, no, not for closing it in, but the lacrosse box that's there right now, is it not the right size or something?
I'm not aware if it not being.
It is not
Regulation?
regulation size. It's a little bit smaller than a normal.
does it meet the
It
purpose?
does,
Does it
for,
serve the
for
purpose?
a certain level. I haven't kicked tires on it for.
Okay, but does it serve the purpose of lacrosse? what we have
Absolutely.
now?
But the problem is you have nothing in the
So
winter.
then I would
You have
continue,
no
because we
facility that you
applied,
can run tournaments at. Right now, lacrosse is huge and there's a huge amount of community interest. You have a lot of junior teams, a lot of underage teams that are playing and looking at growing the game.
because we applied for federal money to build what's there now. So we should maybe keep that as a lacrosse box.
Absolutely.
Decide if it should be closed in or not with through community consultation, then build this other project.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
why
that's
one of
the
the
recommendation.
recommendations is to fill the arena committee that was discussed. So I believe there's an arena committee on the books right now. It's just a matter of then advertising that.
And then
that
we
filled.
also need to plan on how we're going to look after it once it's built, because arenas
That
do
all
not
comes
take-
under,
That all
that all
comes
comes
with
under
it.
feasibility. So what we're exactly doing right now with the gym and the fitness center, that all gets looked at. What's your revenues, what's your expenses, where can you get it from? Because the last thing I want to do is come and build a building that we can't afford.
to maintain.
That's why we have 4 commercial suites that will be
Okay,
attached.
Chris?
So unfortunately, Tom, you didn't see my note, you didn't get my note, but back on September 16th, I had asked to be on the agenda for an update for the lacrosse box. Because 3 years ago, when I got on council.
Okay,
I
what's
asked
your
about-
question?
Well, no, he didn't see it, so he can't respond to it. But when I got on council and I asked about, because the lacrosse community was saying, hey, every Mohawk community's got an enclosed lacrosse box, what about us? So they reached out to me again, because that 3 years ago, I was told it's in the works, the proposal to encapsulate it, $2 million. So now these folks are reaching out again saying, where's the status of that was proposal submitted in the past, but I think we didn't get approval. So long story short, what's the status of a lacrosse box getting the upgrades?
We've never did any feasibility on closing in the existing lacrosse box. There's never been a motion, there's never been direction to do that. We've now done a feasibility for an arena slash gym slash fitness center. We've also done an arena and fitness center model. So we have floor plans and elevations ready for view for this committee if it's filled, and then they can give the feedback on that, what they want to see change, what they want to see added, and work towards feasibility to present something to council.
Just a thought, and just my thought here. I don't think we need to build another lacrosse box, but I really feel in closing the lacrosse box with the regular a shower room or like the change rooms. There is a little bit, yeah. You got to look at something for using it. We have it there. spend a little bit more money in it and closing it to be able to use it all year round. And I'm looking at all of the big lacrosse, like the one up in Whitby. You've been up to that one, and it's like, I think it's like 4 lacrosse arenas in the one big complex. And they run all year round, and they're strictly lacrosse. They're not in their hockey arena, but it is so busy. And it's located right beside the marina. And I visited her quite a few times because I've been up to the marina. And all of the lacrosse, the bigger community lacrosse communities actually they're all enclosed. So they're not so interested in being like an air free, like, or an outdoor, but the idea of being able to use something every day of the week, all year round kind of thing.
So Akwesasne is building one right now, I believe. Akwesasne Six Nations building just a rink cover.
So Tom,
They already have the arena, but
I think that's
so
great.
the pro to not closing it is 95% of your cost you're going to do anyways. All you're saving is
So Tom, I just
all
wanna
the
be-
additional space, all of the walls, all the mechanical, all the electrical still in there.
So Tom, I just want to be clear, where are we building this? Because when Josh was on council, there's talk about building it on 49 Highway. Is
The
this
one that
gonna
I'm
be built at
the one that I'm
Road?
presenting today is going at the sports complex.
York Road.
Yes.
Okay.
Makes sense.
But if you want to have conversations about closing it, I would task that to that committee.
So this today is to move ahead with the presentation, the one that was presented, right? And it doesn't put to sleep the other stuff.
I don't
Like,
think
we
it
can
should.
look at
I don't
that
think our
separately.
community should have to decide
One or the other.
One or the other, right?
Okay, so you're recommending there be a feasibility study done?
I recommend that we start looking at the feasibility of a community pool and that we engage and fill the current committee so that they can start working towards what they want to see as a plan for next steps to bring back to council.
And for today is to be able to move
Okay,
forward with the
let's
fitness
solidify
center
that into a
or
motion that
recreation
so
complex.
council
Yeah.
has direction, so that Tom has direction of what he's supposed to do.
Chief, I can't support $15 million of money we don't have when we can't even put the walls on our lacrosse box. And the lacrosse community is going to be, they're asking questions. And I said, I had it on the agenda. I don't know what happened to it. And so they're going to be up in arms.
But my thing would be to fill your committee with these lacrosse people, with the Terry Miracles, with the Nick Leweens, with all the other people that are part of the associations.
But they want a lacrosse box with walls.
That's
they're
what we'd be working for. They can come back and once they meet, see what we've worked on for the arena and doing it as a separate standalone project or just closing it, and they can make that recommendation to council rather than
So
you hear my opinion and not agree with it and want to close it in. I'm just saying that 95% of your cost is going to come regardless of what you do. Except for the difference is you're going to have a floor that's 30 years old, that's been exposed to the elements for the last 30 years, starting to show signs of cracking. Or you could move forward with a new facility. Like that roof cost us at the time like $480,000, so it's probably somewhere in the ballpark of $800,000 now. But on a $12 million, $15 million facility, you're going to save less than $1 million by closing.
But shouldn't that have lasted longer than that? Because it wasn't that long ago that was built.
I
It's
would
about 10
imagine
years
it's
old.
been there as long as I can remember. So I don't know when it was built. I'm assuming 30 years.
What the lacrosse box?
Yep.
Has it? I don't
When
believe it's
would
been
it have
30
been
years.
built?
I would say 10 years.
Well,
No,
it's more than that.
we put the roof on it 10 years ago,
Yeah.
more than 10, like
Yeah,
12 years ago.
well, so the application closes on the 31st of March. So I guess if you're going to do this extra consultation with the Recreation Committee and all these people that have these different ideas,
But for this pot of funding, I'm recommending you going with the project that we already moved forward. You have to have a project
That's the arena.
at a certain step. Even by the time I'm ready to submit this, it's going to be probably December. And the money may be gone. Like,
So
you have to be far enough in the project. We can't start from scratch or you can, but you're not going to get it.
well,
Like, you have to be able to
it has to be
show-
engineered and shovel ready.
Doesn't have to be shovel ready, but we'd want to be somewhere around probably at the Class B level. And we're still, I need to say that what we're doing to the engineers, because they're on hold now, waiting for us to solidify the floor plan so that they can move towards the Class C set.
And in layout, okay, so we go ahead, say we just go ahead with the recreation building as it stands in layout, and then we're gonna build a swimming pool. Are we going to build it on the same grounds? Will it be attached? Is there some kind of plan that it actually, you go down the hall, you're in the building, you've already parked your car, and now I want to go from working out, then I want to go to the swimming pool. So you go down a hallway, and then all of a sudden now you're in the swimming pool complex.
So just to clarify, we've done zero work on a pool, so I can't answer, but
No,
that's
no,
what I'm,
but I'm
what I'm
just the idea.
suggesting is that we go to feasibility so we can work out all these plans to be able to answer these questions. Is it gonna be on the same property? Is it gonna be attached?
Because
Is it gonna be at a different
if
property?
not, well,
Is
then
it
you're
be
gonna
geared
need,
just
you're
towards
gonna need
seniors?
twice the parking space then, if you're gonna make, you're gonna put it here, but then, let's say, arena go over here, then no one's gonna park here to walk over there. So that's just an idea that you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna need more parking space for that building that could be potentially.
You're gonna need more-
put in one spot, have one big parking spot to suffice, like, to be able to get to the.
You're gonna need more regardless, but yeah, you'd need more than more. if
Sure,
you do it
oh,
that way.
I realize that, I realize that, but, in planning is the idea.
Ideally, if it's gonna be just a community swimming pool, ideally having a sports complex makes sense. It's where, how does it fit?
Yeah.
How does it flow?
I've seen some built,
If it is gonna be something though that's dedicated to seniors and therapy, maybe it makes sense to have that with the rest of your senior.
I've seen it up north where they built this, the arena was the first and foremost, because they're all about hockey. And then after the arena was built, they did already have plans for the swimming pool and the gymnasium and everything that was built attached to the
Okay.
floor, just so that they used the same parking lot for 3 different buildings, in a sense of being in the same building.
So the other thing we need to make sure, I'd like to see a up-to-date survey done. If this was built, would they use it? And I guess the question that the community is gonna ask, if I say I'd use it, what's it gonna cost me? So you need to know what the operation budget's gonna be, so that.
That's all part of the
Because we
package that
know
we're
right
doing,
now
Chief,
that
but
we
I can't do that until we have a floor plan.
Because we know right now, even people with good incomes go to TCDF to get funding for things like this. But a good percentage, probably about 40 to 45%, based on the housing applications, is marginalized and would not be able to afford it. So then where do they get the money to be able to use it? You don't want to build something that people can't afford to use or don't want to use.
Afford to use what though?
Well, right now, we have the fitness center challenge there too.
The fitness center will be part of this facility.
Because
And you'd be
we
using that to
can't-
share revenue and share O&M costs.
Because it has to have revenue coming in to pay for the operations.
Absolutely. This is all part of the package that we're
So
working
if
on.
it's
But
built,
I
will
can't
people
take
use
the
it?
next
Otherwise, it's
steps.
going to be another drain on the band.
But I can't take those next steps until I have a confirmed floor plan and elevations.
Okay.
But part of all that, there'll be a Class C budget with an operating budget that will show where all the revenues
And
are
so
coming
that's
from,
why I
all
think the
expenses.
feasibility is important.
The floor
Absolutely.
plans are all right here.
Those are the
Proposed.
proposed floor plans, yep.
That's all.
So I can do it twice then. I could take those and tell, okay, engineers, go ahead and keep doing all the planning. And then we change and do a pool and then we go backwards and do it all again. So
So right now-
generally you take it in
So
steps.
right now it's
So
based on
we're at
having
the step now
hockey
that we
arena.
have a proposed plan and what I'm seeking council's approval is their approval to proceed with proposed plan.
We're gonna live to see the day where the feds aren't gonna be holding our hand. That's gonna come quicker than later. And if the casino dollars aren't there, we're gonna be struggling to keep the lights on and the heat on these buildings. Cause I remember 15, 20 years, we couldn't even carry the darn community center deficit or the elders lodge deficits. Simply to keep the lights on.
There's four
Careful what we ask for.
suites for commercial space that we're going to be renting to help offset the cost.
Yeah, I did see the projections from the consultants, and they talk about rental fees, and it's grandiose, it's all gonna pay for itself.
We haven't done the detail. There's been nothing
But I
proposed.
seen it on the last one with the NHL size arena, and we spent hundreds of thousands. There's been studies done on all the arenas around us, and every single one runs big deficits.
I'm not going to present one that runs a big deficit.
I'm sorry?
We'll add more commercial space, or we'll be looking for additional money before my intent is not to come with a final product that shows the band's got to pay $1 million a year in deficit, which is why we're doing all this planning ahead of
Because right
time.
now, a lot of people. line
Otherwise,
up
I just say
ATM
build
to
it.
Get subsidized on the cigarette quota money.
I like the chief's idea. Put out the community knowing here's what's out there that's available, but it's gonna cost us money at some point to
But we
keep the
have.
lights on. And
That's been done though. I can do it again, but
You already
What
had a
did you
contact
update?
or the
meeting.
Parks and Rec Committee did a survey. We pulled from the survey to look at what the wants were. One was a splash pad, one was a rec center, one's a walking trail. I can do it again. I guess I would like, if council can send me the questions they want
Okay,
to ask.
what I wanted to know is what is the user fee structure?
We don't have that.
Yeah, and that's.
I can, if I proceed, it's going to add to the cost. And so I'm prepared to say, First Nations Engineering, this is the plan. We want you to get done all the way to a Class C on that, and then we'll let you know if we've got a redesign. So our budget right now for their costs, I think, is 125,000. We can definitely get to that point, make the changes, and then go backwards and do it again for probably another 30,000, 40,000. But I know how this table hates to spend money on consultants, but
I just want to make sure that when people will use it, if it's built, I'm good with it, as long as people use it and they can afford it. Because otherwise, or do we have to create another subsidy
People will
program?
use it. You build something like people will use it. Look at that splash pad.
Will they be willing to pay to
And it's
use
just-
it?
Kids were in it last weekend.
But Chris, they might use it, are they willing to pay to use it? Or are they going to want the band to subsidize it?
what are they paying to use?
Because even with the golf course, there are
The
people
rec
think the band
facility.
should be subsidizing
The-
vendors to play
The,
golf.
like the fitness center.
The fitness center they pay to use now.
Yeah.
where would the
So
15
I'm not
million
proposing
come
any
from?
changes.
Where would MVQ's 15 million come from, our share? That's a question you have to answer before you make the commitment. We can't just go fall in the sky.
We did with the
15
LTC.
million. Pardon me?
We did with the long-term care.
That was
That's
before my time.
3 million, and I
It's 3 million now, but when we started, it wasn't 3 million.
raised close to
You,
a million.
you need to
for
go
the
get
band's
this
share.
money but you need to go get this money to start making the dominoes fall. We can sit back, then we might better never look at a large recreation project because you're never
Other-
going to have 10 million, 12
Other
million.
communities that have recreation projects don't sit back and wait for the government to pay it all. They actually have committees that raise money to do these projects.
A lot of First Nations convert their arenas to bingo halls because they can't even afford to keep the heat on a facility that's already paid for.
But you just, 5 minutes ago, you just talked about closing in the lacrosse box.
Because that's what people are asking me over and
So
over.
how are you
and
going to
over.
pay for it?
Well, it's a heck
What,
of a
what
lot
was the
easier.
what was the planning for that?
It's a heck of a lot million to get $1 million or $2 million than 50.
It's not going to be $1 million or $2 million, Chris. If you think that closing in that lacrosse box is $1 million or $2 million.
Okay, what I'm going
When-
to suggest we do.
When to build anything else is $450 to $500 a square foot, then I don't know how to help with the decision making.
Having a recreation center was a high priority of our previous councils, and Tom has done a lot of work on this. He thinks there should be a feasibility study. I agree.
We're
with
doing a
that.
feasibility study. This is to go to the next steps of so we can finish the feasibility side and get
How it's
that
being-
final package back to council that includes your final Class C costs, your O&M budgets that you keep asking for, all the questions that
Yeah, okay.
I'd be able to answer at that point in time, which would give council the decision, do they want to take the next steps and go to detailed design?
So for him to finish his work, he's saying, do you want to cut the indoor pool and cross box and hockey? No, approve.
It was never in it.
Approved to proceed without the indoor pool or lacrosse or hockey rink. So I guess
But also.
The
to
lacrosse,
use a
hockey rink, it would
move
be
forward with
priority.
Feasibility for community pool and to fill the arena committee so that they can start engaging on what we've done to date, what we can do, and make a recommendation to council about how the community wants to move forward.
I'm okay with that.
Maybe that committee wants to just close in the lacrosse box. That may be the recommendation that they come back to.
Tom, how should this motion be worded then that you're proposing? To approve?
There's
to
3
do-
motions.
Pardon me?
There will be 3 motions. There's 3 recommendations, so
So
there's
the
3 motions.
motion one will be,
To proceed,
Approved to proceed without the indoor pool or lacrosse hockey rink.
For the Community Sport and Recreation Investment Fund application.
Pool. Is it to proceed without the pool? It says or lacrosse, or lacrosse hockey rink.
Both of them. I'm saying to not proceed. Proceed as planned, as presented for the Community Sport and Recreation Investment.
So the word or should be and then?
Sure, and slash or, if we're gonna get into semantics again.
Any recommendation, because there's a piece there, there's more writing. When you print the document.
Oh, I see, that's why, that's
There's
why.
another option there. I think if you check his briefing note, it's better for you to mark home with it.
Yeah, I was away, so Tom, forgive me, because I haven't had a chance to read this.
So right there, the next page. Oops. So right there, there's his.
Okay, that's why. So approve to proceed with the indoor pool and or lacrosse hockey rink. Approved to move forward with the previous approved arena committee and have them review the previous arena conceptual floor plans and elevation and work with MVQ staff for a recommendation to TMC for next steps. Approved to distribute a request for proposals for preliminary planning for an indoor swimming pool. This will include feasibility, background, conceptual design, community engagement, and estimates for construction and O&M. So we need 3 motions. And Aaron, you're moving all 3 motions? It can be, do they have to be separate motions? It's going to be all one.
I think they can all be in one, I
So
guess.
it's one motion then, all 3 items.
Yep, I'm okay with that. Could we also add that for lacrosse as well? Like the potential to look into that? Like what, that'll
can
be on
we-
the second one, right?
Yeah, or if maybe it's better than to change the name of the committee and it's not just like a hockey arena. It's-
Yeah,
Hockey
lacrosse,
So then you'll be working
just to
with the
determine what the best way is to proceed with that.
So you'll be working with the Recreation Committee on this?
For the lacrosse and hockey one, would the main engagement people would be the committee, which may have
Okay,
similar
Chris, are you
members.
part of the Recreation Committee?
I'm negative, chief, and I want my reason
Oh,
why.
we need a
recorded.
seconder, just wait. Is there a seconder for the motion?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Chris Brandt?
And also, I've been to the recreation committee meetings here and there when I can, as a part, being, because Chris opted out, and I said I would sit in place.
Okay. And how are you voting, Curtis?
I'm good.
Carried?
You have to walk.
Chris Miracle negative?
Negative. We do not know where our 15 million's coming from.
Is this something that Green Inclusive Bill we can apply for them for this too?
If they do another intake and if we go the route of net zero,
Okay.
or zero carbon,
Well, there's supposed to be another intake coming up, isn't there?
there's an intake right now. I don't know if they'll be
That
doing
closes
one
on
next
October
year.
the 7th.
This will be the 4th intake.
Yeah. Well, whether there's another intake or not will depend on whether it's Trudeau or Polyev, I think.
Well, then we'd also have to start looking at moving towards the net zero. Right now, the last time we presented, I don't think that there was any interest in going
This
to
is
net
not
zero,
net zero, right?
not the recreation.
The
We
motion
could-
is carried. Okay, the next item,
Can we, just a question, if you don't mind, we've got our soup that's going cold there? Is there? Okay, and this one's gonna be a quick one?
yes, okay.
So we're trying to make community development fund, but we can trade into the sports complex, recreation complex as well, out of their money. So in the future would help with the O&M, but I do know that it didn't favor an arena. because of the cost of the unit.
Right.
So,
I can tell you that an arena, ice rink, you would have to run it all time, and then you would actually have to build it big enough so you can hold concerts to be able to cover the cost, because I know right well, and I know guys that are NHL players that actually build compressors and build the cooling systems and stuff, and I've talked to them before, and it is one big, and we've got an arena right there. I mean, why do we need an arena 5 minutes drive down the road? I mean, sure, it's a little tiny arena, and to have an arena our own, but the cost of running that in an arena is.
Actually, that's why Oneida had to give up on their arena and they turned it into a bingo hall.
So when we were
Keep it
doing
up.
the feasibility arena, we met with the
But it
gentleman that
seems to me
started the
that-
Ottawa
that
Senators,
Saskatchewan,
and his recommendation was if you go forward, because they are costly, is to make sure you cover it with, commercial space. That's what keeps all your lights
Yeah,
on.
going.
Anything in the rental is your bread and butter.
All of those, they have concerts, and I've been there, done that. I've been in a play where in the morning, it's totally, floor down, or they bring in truckloads of dirt, so the monster trucks can come in. They carry on something, and the very next day, the ice is back in, and we're playing hockey.
Well, we wouldn't be talking about something
No,
that size
but
either.
I'm saying that's the way the bigger arenas have to work just to keep, on the plus side of, running costs, because it's crazy how much it costs. Anyway.
So the next item on the agenda is,
I'm done.
the next item on the agenda is the new dock purchase. 3 quotes have been received for new docks at the Ferry Lane and Shanville launches. Dock Factory, $34,770. Oblique 24,703. 24,703. Quinny Docks, 37,440. 29,480. LW Docks, $848,192. $830,294. So why are there 2 figures here, Tom?
One for Ferry Lane, one for
One
Tyendinaga.
One for Prairie Lane, one for Shannon, two different docks.
I see, okay.
I see this was put off until I was able to get here. I read through all of the docking systems, and they're all looking pretty close to in size, everything else. Now, what stuck out to me a little bit more and I don't know if the cost of, let's say, just straight cost, just for the Ferry Lane. Okay, you've got, the LW docking service, I think they're out of the picture because they're so much more expensive, offering the same basic thing, same thing. Now, the dock of, the dock factory is a little bit less. Quinny Docks is a little bit more, but Quinny Docks, if you've seen, they've got wheels that are permanently mounted underneath the dock. So when you're pulling the dock out of the water, you're pulling it up on wheels rather than dragging the bottom of the dock up against the cement. So what we've done in the past is I mean, I've never ever seen it, but they just use the backhoe to pull the docks out of the water? So basically, they're scuffing up the bottom of the dock system itself. Plus, they're also possibly damaging the cement, the launch itself by just dragging it along the ground time in and time out. I don't know if the wheel systems that Quinny Docks are offering. I mean, if you're pulling a dock out that's 60 foot long, which these are, that's a lot of weight. And if they're come up on wheel, it's just I mean, for me, it seems so much more economical, although it's a little bit, the cost is a little bit more.
But in this quote, does that include the wheels on it?
Yeah, it does.
For the 1 year.
And it says it, the Quinny Docks, so that's why I said I read through all of it. And the Quinny Docks are a little bit more expensive. The factory is $34,770 and Quinny Docks is $37,440. So that's only a difference of three grand. But in the long run, I think you're going to save more because it's not running, like I said, you're pulling the dock up just so the bottom of the dock is being scraped against the cement. It's gonna deteriorate the cement, will deteriorate the bottom of the dock.
So anyway, I guess in terms of price, for the Ferry Lane, the Dock Factory Inc. with a bid of $34,707 is the cheapest one. And for the Shannonville dock, the dock factory again is the cheapest, 24,703. So, and I guess if you buy new docks and you avoid needing future repairs in the future, and it does not address the engineering report that recommends replacement at the ferry dock, may present a risk for liability, requires an additional financial commitment of $34,700 for a new dock at the Ferry Lane and $24,703 at Shannonville. So where does the money come from for this? Chris, then you're next.
I would assume wherever the money came from to fix.
Open LP. Okay,
The
Chris?
fixes that we put, oh, sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Chris and Aaron.
Okay, but I think Chris is explaining it, Chief, one's a bit more, but you're getting more value.
You're going to, okay, I would recommend not going with the dock factory just because they're cheaper. Because in the long run, they're gonna cost more money for repairs. Whereas this Quinny Dock Series, a company, they have wheels that are mounted underneath the
Okay.
docks. So when you're pulling, especially up in Shannonville, it's a gravity. So you're dragging the dock. Well, they're gonna roll a lot easier for putting
Okay.
the docks in and removing the docks out of the water on wheels.
Okay, so I guess when we ask for these quote, are these specifications all the same for all the people we are asking a quote from?
As close as we could get them.
So did they all have wheels?
No.
No, only the one offers it, and I think that's why we should go with them, because, you know, it's gonna save us money in the long run.
Okay,
And there'll be less wear and tear on the docks themselves,
and which one is that?
is, the.
Quinny Docks.
So the only one that was required or recommended that it be replaced is Ferry Lane, right? Is the renovations or the fixes that we did to Shannonville okay?
Except for the one part because it was put in early for search that was done earlier this spring.
Oh, yeah.
So when we take it out,
It'll get its renovations and then it's okay?
So you're telling me, Chris, that the Quinny Docks include wheels?
Yes, they do. Mounted permanently under the bottom of the dock itself, so that we get for easy extraction of the dock and easy launching of the dock. But where we go with the new docking system, like I said before, and I had mentioned it, put the old docks up for sale. I'm almost gonna guarantee you that Bill Dahl, he built his mom that house down on Bay Shore, and he's got an actual launch, but he doesn't have a dock there. Sell him the Ferry Lane dock.
No, we put it out to the public, you know. so
Well,
it's-
that's, no, I'm just saying, that's the example, is
yeah.
put it up for sale, because guarantee somebody's gonna buy it.
Oh, yeah.
So
Okay.
it will help offset these costs.
Okay, so the costs are not, there's not a huge difference there. So there's just a little over 3,000, not even quite $3,000 for between Dock Factory and Quinny Docks. So the Quinny Docks is 37,440 and Shannonville Quinny Docks is 29,480. So what's the motion of council then? What do you decided to
Do we
do?
need to, oh, never mind, just lost it. Lost my
So,
train of thought. I was listening to
Which
you and now it's
quote do
gone.
you want to go with?
I would, I'm motioning that we go with Quinny Docks.
Oh, I remember my question. Do we have the funding available in the OFLP
Grammar. I'll second it, Chief.
that it needs to go
We
through?
don't know yet.
And have a supporting motion.
If there's
Chief.
funding money.
You're seconding the motion.
Yeah, then I'm gonna table a
So
second motion.
is anyone opposed to going with Quinny Docks because there are wheels permanently mounted? Put that in the minutes.
No, I'm okay with that as long as the funding is available.
And the funding source is Open LP.
And then we put the old docks up for sale to whoever wants to buy, whoever it's the biggest price on them. And you know what, for docks that size, you could probably get up to
A couple thousand.
that's a lot of money.
I'd recommend council setting a minimum.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, you've got the numbers of what we put into it. Okay, you give us that.
Okay.
And then we can make, you can make a minimum price out of that, and you can tell us what a minimum price would be, and we'll say, yeah, that's. Okay, thanks. Unless I buy it, then it's half price, okay?
Okay, so anyway, anybody
Conflict of
opposed to that
interest for you.
motion? It's been moved by Chris Brandt and seconded by Chris Miracle to go with the Quinny Dock proposal, because and the funds will come from OLP. Chris?
May I make a motion
Oh,
to,
let's see if that's carried. Anybody opposed? Seeing none, the motion's carried. Okay.
so a motion to have the apron addressed before freeze up this year at Ferry Lane. Chris has done some work on this, you know how it drops off? We have to remedy that. No sense having a brand new dock and then you can't use the,
Yeah, I suggest, my suggestion for that is, we make a plan for having the actual launch pad reconstructed, but, we use a very similar but better, idea as Finkel Park. And the cheapest, instead of spending tons and tons of money of going, I think, and it's already been talked about, of using a galvanized steel grade system so that, but to have our shovels ready in January or February when the water is at its lowest, and we replace the cement only goes down. Probably it's going to be, last year was about 7 foot difference between where we wanted to stop the cement and where the water level was, because the winter time.
Okay.
So we would get in there, we could do any kind of digging and not impact the fish or whatever because the lower water levels.
Okay.
And then turn around, have that steel plate put onto after the freeze, after the thaw, I guess it is, stick it into place and anchor it down, and you've got your new ramp, your new docks, your new everything.
so a motion for Chris to work with the staff on getting that in place.
Just,
Housing or infrastructure? I'd assume that's infrastructure, right?
That's
Well, whoever, that's why I said staff, whoever.
Yeah, well, that's part of my.
Okay, so motion to work with Chris to get the future repairs done on the dock, to cost it out, plan it, all that. To do the planning, design.
We'll just
Cost.
wait and see what the water be there. You might not be able to get that.
Where we were, where our cutoff line was. Still below the water tap, still above water.
I'm not talking about that. So if you put in a pumping station down there, you gotta get that done. That's what I'm saying.
Over
Yeah.
construction.
So all this has to be timed where it can be,
Yeah,
because there's gonna be another pumping station there, so.
Anyway,
Off to
so
the side, so.
any future repairs on the ferry dock will be then, we'll work with Tom to do the planning, design, and costing.
It's not hard.
Todd, okay,
Pete. Pete's got.
Todd Pete.
okay. Todd,
You already seen it.
moved by Chris,
Chris, yeah.
who's seconding that motion? The two Chris's, okay.
Yeah.
Are you seconding that, Chris?
He's named
No,
No, I made it.
Chris Merritt. Chris
Oh,
Merritt
volunteer.
made it.
Oh, he did it.
Hey, just a minute, let me chair the meeting, please, that's my
No,
job.
I'm asking for clarity.
Chris moved to have them work with Todd.
Well,
Tom,
I'm not gonna
Todd.
second that because he wants me to work, and I know I'll work.
okay, but why are they not working with Tom? Isn't Tom looking after the ferry dock?
Not infrastructure looked after the repairs to the,
Yes.
and it's in-ground work. It's a piece of infrastructure.
Oh, I see, okay.
That's Chip's.
I'm here as a resource. I could be
Okay.
on the project team.
That's
So
Chip's
work with-
portfolio.
work
He's
with-
gonna
work with the staff.
work with them because he knows my ideas anyway.
But, yeah, well, you're included with
I'll
this.
second that. Chris and Chris.
He'll be included in it anyway, so you were included with that, with the last stuff, so should be all.
And I've got to ask you.
Everybody good with that?
Something too. When we're done. Okay, are we gonna eat now?
Yes, but it'll probably be very cold, so that motion is carried then?
Yes.
Do you want me to make a motion to go into private after this?
Yes, please.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Aaron, second by Curtis. And it's now 1:17. This meeting is now concluded, the public portion, and we are now in camera. Is there a second for Aaron's motion?